Now at least I know it works. Fine. I'm gonna switch it up first. I'm gonna make my drink first. You want to talk about being prepared? Having your drink ready to go before you go live on the camera. That's kind of important. I'm going back to one of my favorites here, and that is the salt is the chili lime one. There's a rocks glass. It was pretty lit earlier today. There's another benefit of doing this, making sure my sound is okay. Hell, having that whole charging board replaced, that seems to have helped matters. So I'm glad that worked. I'm only making a couple of margaritas tonight. We'll show off the bottle in a moment. Where are we at? Minute 30 seconds. This is one hefty ass bottle, by the way. I think I'll keep the bottle. Just because it's fucking cool. I'm sure I could mix something else with tequila and then just use this. We'll see. Just a couple quick margaritas. You gotta wait for the 3 minutes or so I don't get fucking censored again. I don't know about you. I'm getting mighty tired of that shit. Yeah, it makes a decent margarita. I talked about this on the End Times Report, and who knows if that's going to get out there. I did get something uploaded, but the problem was the device I was using to upload it. Well, it was the device I was using to record until it stopped recording. And then now, for whatever reason, it doesn't recognize the 32 gigabyte fucking memory card it has in there. So my promise to myself, or to it rather, is like, you know what? You stop making yourself useful, you get the fucking hammer. And you want to guess what it got? It got the fucking hammer. Where the hell is my cigar cutter? Great, now I can find it. I was here last night. Give me a moment. I gotta look for this fucking thing. Oh, here it is. Fucking fell over, I guess. Jesus. There we go. I have the overhead light turned off. Tonight's cigar is Diesel something. Diesel Whiskey Row. It's bourbon barrel age rabbit hole. Actually, we'll need to light for that. One random one I picked up at the cigar box over there in Auburn, Washington. So go check them out. Yeah, fuck it. I'll leave the light on. I'm fine with being whitewashed. Oh, good. Jesus, the wrapper on this is pretty fucking tight. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take it all off. Be a completely naked cigar. There we go. Oh. It's nice tequila, and probably won't be the only one. There's a little bit more in here. There we go. Corzo. I had gotten this one. It was on discount at a Safeway that I was visiting. I think it was in Ballard, Seattle area. It's okay. The reason I'm drinking these now is I'm just getting rid of them. No point in saying because they're pretty much like any decent tequila. It's just a higher price tag, especially the Blancos. Nigga, might as well go ahead and enjoy them now. Not that they're bad again, but you know, no point in saving them. There's nothing wrong special. Now, if it were aged tequilas, they're like barrel aged. What the cigar apparently was, or something like that. The dieselcigar.com. Okay, I'll take a look at that. Or like mezcal or something. Then okay, now we're talking. But yeah, just Blanco tequilas. Not worth saving. This is already starting strong. Let's smoke what I'm liking it so far. All right, let's get the obvious out of the way. If you have run across this video, if you've subscribed already, thank you very much for subscribing. Share this video, like it, help boost the signal. Put a comment in the section, whether you agree with what I'm saying, whether you disagree with what I'm saying, whether you're neutral to what I'm saying. Liquor recommendations, cigar recommendations, whatever. Just make sure there's activity on this channel, on this video. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. And you know what to do. This will definitely pair well with some sort of whiskey or bourbon or something, which foreshadowing I have sitting next to me. That's coming up later. After I finish my tequila. All right, tonight's subject, in case you did not read the title for whatever fucking reason, or the description for that matter, or saw the thumbnail. By the way, big shout out to roguepreparedness.com. She puts out a lot of good material. And I like the way that she does it. We have other people, they talk about prepping and stuff. And I'm sure we covered this last week's episode of The Closing Hour. And that a lot of people, when they're talking about prepping, they're talking about, offensive situations, their firearms and those strategies and stuff, like how they're going to go take on people and all that. But she not only has a unique advantage, like she took a look at, like, okay, she does have pictures. Like if you go to her Instagram, I think it's Rogue Prepared, and it's one of the two. She doesn't have a great man Twitter. I think she's on Facebook too, but I wouldn't know because I've been permabanned from there. Anyways, she has one of her profile pictures is her with a gun in one hand, and her blowing a big ass fucking bubble with bubble gum. You know, she has other videos where she talks about, you know, concealed carried handguns and all that stuff. So she knows about firearms and stuff. Everybody knows about the fucking firearms and shit. What I like about her is that she talk. Not only did she talk about literally everything else, like I don't know, first aid kits. Joe Doley over at tactical-wisdom.com talks a lot about those. What's the first thing that gets cried out when shots start getting fired and people start getting hit by them? Medic! Follow Joe Doley as well, tactical-wisdom.com. But the other thing I like about it is that she always approaches it from a side of optimism. It's like, you know what? Okay, you could be doomer, prepper, whatever, you know, wait for shit to hit the fan, but like, no, you can do all this stuff and things are going to be okay. You'll have this and you'll be happy. And she, you know, she approaches a lot of things that people don't normally talk about. Things that, you know, for the most part, I'll be discussing here tonight. After I get more margarita. Scar doesn't stand out too much, but pretty decent. I don't remember what I paid for it. It was somewhere around like $10 or something. You know, before we continue, while I vamp here, what are the things that you think, you know, all right, there are things you should prepare for, or there are things you should pack if you want to be prepared. Take a while, I guess, to see what I missed. Now, that's before, and I'll ask you the same question afterwards if I remember. I have a tendency to not remember. What can I say? This is what happens when you podcast in a state of inebriation. Speaking of which, final tequila we have here. First one, I think, what was it? Chavo Malo, I think. This is Espolon, and believe it or not, this is actually was a gift from the liberal Packer Wrangler. One I always end up in arguments with. Because she's a liberal and you know, I'm not. And she's a woman and I'm not. Hey, what can I say? But she got me that for my birthday. And good shout out to her. Thanks. I really appreciate it. Adding a little bit more to that. Pop one of these open too. Peach lemonade seltzer. I've been on a kick with the lemonade seltzer. Here's one thing I've realized or remembered. So I'm doing a different diet now. I won't get into it too much. It's Paul Saladino's thing, Carnivore MD. If you want to find him on either Twitter or Instagram or YouTube, wherever, Carnivore MD. We fight because he had a whole bunch of videos talking about bacon and wings, you know, killing you and all that stuff. But I figured if I was going to take shots at him, I might as well try his diet out first just to see what happens. And not only doing that, but I'm also going for hypertrophy and honestly, you know, not eating enough for eating enough to gain more strength. Not enough to gain or mass. So I'm doing other things in the background. I'm actually up about 5-6 pounds or so. Based on my body compositions. Well, I'm 6'2". I'd have to gain 30-40 pounds to notice something like really serious. It had to be really a lot for me to notice it, but I ain't getting any fatter. By the way, diet kind of matters as far as prepping goes. In fact, that's the first thing on the list. But what I've been doing is, I made a bunch of ground hamburger. I marinated in some stuff, and that's waiting on me. I think it's about a pound of it. I've been going for an extra pound of stuff like right before I go to work, or on my way to work, rather. And afterwards, dinner is normal: steak, salmon, 3 eggs, over easy, broiled with cheese, so the yolks don't get overcooked. Beef bacon. I'll cover it in more detail on some post or something, but you can go check out Carnivore MD. He has a book out called The Carnivore Code. But I found a cheat sheet, so I'm basically doing sort of what he recommends. And funny enough, he's not a no carb guy or a low carb guy. Apparently, he eats about like 100 grams worth of like honey and dates and other things. And that was one of the first things that I had noted about, people talk about carnivore. First of all, I heard about it not from the carnivores themselves, but from the fucking vegans. That they were accusing me of doing that, or accusing me of being that type of person. I'm like, I have no fucking idea what you're talking about. And then I found all this shit. That's number one. But number two, as I pointed out before, the definition of hypercarnivorism, that's 70% of your food comes from animal calories, basically. So even the big cats and wolves and all that shit, they eat some sort of berries or whatever. Now, there's people like Sean Baker. There's other people who, what was it? Carnivore Kimberly, I think. She's on Instagram. They do pretty much just animal products, and it works for them. Kevin Stock, another one, kevinstock.io. He puts out a newsletter every Saturday, and if you sign up for it, he actually has a fucking cell phone number. He'll give you a cell phone number, and he'll physically actually send it to you. Maybe I think he does do mass text. That's something I'm going to be setting up at some point. But I got a lot of information from him. Information now has been incorporated into a lot of things that I do. And while I mentioned interest people, peak-human.com, another dash website. Joe, you're not alone. You're not the only one who does that. Brian Sanders, he has a very good podcast out there called the Peak Human Podcast. I tell you what, though, we're talking about prepping and survivalism. What's your first asset going to be? What's going to be the number one priority? Now, you can talk about maybe it's your family, maybe it's your weapons, because that's what a lot of people always talk about when talk about prepping. Hey, dude, bro, make sure you have your AR platform, whether it's Smith & Wesson, whether it's Colt or Ruger or whoever. And you got a pallet of 556 ammo or 223 ammo. There are differences between the two, by the way, apparently. I know I think I sort of remember the difference, but I'm not going to go over them here. Go look at the gun channels and go figure that out. Same with 308 and 762 by 51, by the way. If you don't think that I don't know about guns and calibers and ballistics and all this shit and how to aim and how to target all this stuff. If you don't think I don't know gun warfare, even though I don't because I don't talk about it, think fucking again. I do know it. And so does everybody else that fucking talks about it. I think even talked about that in the last show. What was it? I'd rather use bear mace in the fucking confrontation than a goddamn AR. Because look what happened to Kyle Rittenhouse. Guy was literally getting beaten on the ground with a fucking skateboard, and that's when he decided to open fire. Yeah, I'll say it again. And I'll say it again later once I get to this particular category. Your firearm is your last resort. That should be the last thing you fucking reach for. It should be the last thing you have to fucking use against somebody. There are plenty of other options that lead up to having to use that. Therefore, it shouldn't be the first thing you fucking talk about. I know it's cool. I know it is. It's cool to talk about your pews and how to shoot your pews and where your pew and which ones you have and how you're going to use them in whatever situation you're talking about. I get it. I understand. Just to get this out of the way, because I didn't write it down. Actually, I think I talked about this earlier, but I want to bring it up again because it is that important. Do you know how to fucking dress a gunshot wound? Not even talking about kind of the slow rounds, out of a handgun or something like a 22 or 40 S&W or 9mm or whatever. But dressing a high power round like a 223 or 7.62 by 39 or 7.62 by 51. Do you know how to dress that fucking wound? What if it's somebody that's on your team that got hit by, whatever kind of fire, friendly fire, enemy fire, whatever, and you need this goddamn person? They're actually kind of important to your team. They're not just cannon fodder. They're not pawns in the chess game. Hopefully, if they're on your team, they're not just pawns in the chess game. You know how to do that? Do you have the supplies to do that? Kind of fucking important. And so I decided to come on the list, because that's all the rage these days. And not for all the wrong reasons, okay? We got the new administration here, which will not be named. And we got pretty much working on a dictatorship as we know it. And we all know the fucking cost is going to happen to. By the way, today's whiskey will be Rogue's Dead Guy Whiskey. Hopefully you won't be dead, and that's how you'll be able to drink this. I figured this whiskey or this cigar will actually need a whiskey to be paired with it. Whether I make a Manhattan with it or not, I don't know. Maybe. But hey, why the fuck not? Nothing's going wrong when I've had whiskey on the show before, right? So first on the list, are you prepared? Again, I picked Rogue prepared this as a thumbnail for a reason because she does a lot of the good things there. And definitely go check out her works. She's thought a lot about more preparedness than a lot of other people have. At least as far as I know. And so I'm subscribed to her. Go subscribe to her. And definitely check out her stuff. She's going to be getting back into live streaming soon. So, good people. Dude, bro, she's a woman. It doesn't mean that she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. Okay, shut the fuck up. If I'm endorsing her, she's good people. Okay, there's your fucking rule right there. Person, listen, this isn't in any particular line of importance or anything. Food and water, kind of fucking important. Now, in case you're unaware, you can go without food for at least a few weeks. It's not a good idea to go without food for a few weeks, but you can if that is a possibility. Water, you got about 3 days, maybe 4 max. And so, seeing out again, most important thing to your survival, let alone the survival of anybody else who is going to depend on you for their survival. I don't know. Do you have kids? Do you have a wife? Do you have a husband? Are you the leader of a tribe or something? Then you kind of need your body to be fucking working. That's the number one investment that you need to have in working fucking order. Your fucking body. Nothing else works if your body doesn't. I don't care how much 556 ammo you have, you know, or whatever AR platform you have that's like $5,000 or whatever, and your fucking sidearm that's a 9mm, and you got like 500 ammo boxes of 9mm Luger rounds or whatever. None of that matters if you can't fucking use it. None of that matters if you can't carry up the fucking mountain that you need to carry it up to bug out, if that is necessary. You have someone listening, go ahead and throw a comment in. Let me know who this is. But paramount to maintain yourself, have the right fucking food and water available. First of all, let's talk about water for a second. Now, I'm here in the Pacific Northwest. I'm in the Puget Sound area. And previously, I lived in the Eastern Sierras. If you don't know about the Eastern Sierras, aside from that being a very scenic area that has ski resorts and all that kind of stuff there, Mammoth Mountain, June Mountain, all that stuff. All kinds of hot springs. There's a caldera in that area. Definitely worth visiting. Jeez. Okay. Of course it's Bull Rush. Oh, if it ain't High Yellow Rambo. Dude, I'll throw the link into the chat here. Hang on. If you want to join, sure. It just got bright in here. Aren't you supposed to be Armenian according to Joe Dolio? We talked about him earlier. I only have that light on because I'm reading. Sure, take your time, man. Shit, now you made me forget what the fuck I was talking about. Oh, water. The point I was getting, the Pacific Northwest and the Eastern Sierra is like, literally you have fucking bottled water quality on tap. So you can just pour the fucking water. And that's what I do here. Like, I just drink water out of the tap. Is just fucking fine. If you're in LA or maybe San Francisco, I don't know. Juan could tell me about that. Juan Cabrera. Shit, I don't think he has a website, so I can't plug that. Look up Lou. Lima October Umbrella, wherever the fuck you means in alphanumeric code. _415. He's on Instagram. I don't know. He might not have that. I know in Inglewood, that's not a thing. Put that across most of LA. Like, you cannot drink the tap water there. Well, you can. It won't kill you, but you'll get a nasty fucking throat bug later if you drink enough of it. Water kind of important. So I would say your ability to actually purify the water to... Now, I can go find it later if you want to see it. But I have a filter. It's a soy filter, silver. It's a silver impregnated ceramic filter. It cuts down to 0.2 microns. But the silver cuts everything else out. And that's what I can use. Bull Rush is here. Bull Rush, welcome to the closing hour. How's it going?
So far, so good.
You're sounding good.
I am working on razors right now.
Good. Hopefully one that I'll be able to get within the next couple of weeks or so.
Maybe.
Yeah, Not kidding.
I've got some new material that I'm working with right now. It's one of it is G10. And another one is called Thunderstorm Kevlar. It's kind of like a micarta, but it's got Kevlar, and it's got like little copper filaments weaved into it. Kind of nice looking. It's real light though.
Interesting.
And then I have the other material that I'm working with is what's it called? Forged carbon fiber.
Forged carbon fiber?
Yeah. It's kind of like, you know how carbon fiber looks? It's like black. Yeah. Well, this stuff is kind of like, instead of the weave, how it's, carbon fiber's got that weave pattern in it. This stuff doesn't. It's got like a bunch of flakes of silver and stuff in it. It's real sick looking.
Whoa.
Yeah. If you look up Lamborghini, they use a lot of forged carbon fiber inside their on their vehicles.
Now, is there some sort of benefit for using that type of carbon fiber versus the regular weave? Like, now I know about this because I was sort of in the car racing industry, and they use carbon fiber too. But aircraft maintenance and all that stuff, you have to learn how to work with that.
Yeah.
So I know what that is. I've never heard about this particular one though.
Yeah, this stuff is more for aesthetic value. I mean, it still has the characteristics of carbon fiber, where it's really strong and stuff like that. But it's just made a little bit different for aesthetic purposes.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm working with. Got that Kevlar, the G10. The G10 I'm using is they call it a ghost jade. It's kind of like a light green, like a real light green.
Light green, huh? Yeah, okay. You got my attention.
Yeah, it's kind of see-through too because it's so light. So you can see through it.
All right. And let's go ahead and get this out of the way. You can find it. I was actually going to mention you or your site at least. You can find it at etsy.com/shop/Lazarus Razors. And everything I've heard about the razors that Bull Rush puts out, it's all 5-star shit. RobSays.net, probably gave the best review on that. It's like, okay, I tried this. I saw this razor, and I'm going to immediately try it on my fucking head. And he never does that. He never does that with any product that's untested, and you fucking went for it. So definitely check him out. There's a reason I'm going to be buying that shit. I don't buy shit that I don't think is going to be a good buy, but definitely check that out. I'm just getting started here, and I have a whole fucking list to get through. That I ended up writing in about 30 minutes.
Well,
now, I don't know how much you know about like prepping. Well, I'm pretty sure you're prepared for things because you're bull rush. I would expect you to be prepared for things, even though you usually just talk about the errors and 9mm and all this stuff.
Well,
I know you got the other shit taken care of.
well, I live in Southeast Texas, and that's hurricane country and tornado country. So, like
You
being,
get tornadoes there?
oh yeah, definitely,
No shit.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we're in Tornado Alley, that region. So yeah, we
Oh,
get them.
fuck.
So just being prepared and stuff like that, that's kind of like a year-round thing for us. You know,
Okay.
yeah, I think like the last major hurricane that came through here, it knocked out power in this whole area. Fortunately, where I live, it was only for a couple days, but there were some people that were out of power that didn't have power for like a week or more. So
shit.
Yeah,
that's where shit can start getting real.
Yeah. So
now, probably not in Texas, but because I imagine most people in Texas they'll have their shit together. But if we're talking about like I don't know, let me just throw a wild example in there: Seattle or L.A.
Well, it was pretty cool because like you're without power. Most of those people, unfortunately, you're gonna lose any kind of meat or anything you got frozen or refrigerated. So a lot of neighborhoods just had massive cookouts, like neighborhood wide cookouts, because the meat's gonna go bad anyway, either way. So they're just like, the hell with it, we're gonna cook it up and feed everybody. So
exactly, you're hitting the playbook here. I'll give you a quick story actually about that. It's not just places where you would have tornadoes or hurricanes, some other things that will knock out your power or whatever. I told you I lived in a place called June Lake, right? Do you know where that is?
Remind me. I don't.
It's in the Eastern Sierras, and it's in like if you look at California, it's kind of where the arm is, like right there.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And trust, and I talked about it earlier. It's a very beautiful. I definitely would suggest visiting there. I'm wearing a tank top I got from the Tiger Bar that I used to work at there. Definitely visit there if you get a chance. But June Lake is in what's called the June Lake Loop. The whole June Lake area, Grant Lake, Silver Lake, whatever, all that is in one 14-mile loop. That's about almost 8,000 feet up. So if it snows hard enough there, and that actually just happened within the last couple of weeks, it ended up getting closed up. So nothing could come in, nothing could come out. And that happened, I think, what was it? It happened before I ended up being there. It was like 2011 or so, where they just closed off everything because, okay, you can't drive anywhere because there's 10 feet of fucking snow on the fucking roads. And so the general store come out, some of the restaurants come out, and they would just cook everything and they would just give it out to the other people, so everybody can have something to eat. And so that would happen there. That would happen. Now, how sustainable that is, I don't know. That violates "Don't Be There" jitsu, but if you're in the public sphere, you own a store and you can't do anything with the meat, the vegetables, or whatever you have, anyways. Then you go ahead and use them as best you can. But they would do that there as well. So I don't know if you following along here, but I have a whole list of shit here. And again, I'm pretty sure you prepared for a lot of things. Well, as you said, because guess in your area, you have to prepare for a lot of things. Hey, if you got anything to add to this, definitely.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, we got the basic stuff like water and food and stuff like that you have on standby.
First on the list, food and water. And what I was talking about before you joined, well, first of all, you should have the water on hand anyways. Not just, big caches of water. And by the way, if you're really that hard over, you're in like a place where you have to have an apartment, you're in a sky building or something like that. If you have access to your water heater, that's a pretty decent source of water. You probably want to filter that too, but that's what I was going to do. You want to be able to purify the damn water.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
As far as food, and I think you brought this up actually. There's a difference between hunting food, and that's what we want to do. You can grow food, I guess, and there's nothing wrong with that, especially if that fits your diet. But you brought up catching food or like trapping it, like laying traps.
Yeah, trapping it, because it's when you trap food, or trying to catch food through trapping, it's you spend less calories doing that.
You spend less rounds too, by the way.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too. I mean, you're not going to catch I doubt you're going to catch a deer. This is more for like varmint level type of animals, like squirrels or rabbits, raccoons, stuff like that.
All right. Well, I don't know anything about trapping, actually. I barely know anything about hunting, to be honest. Is there something you wanted to expand on there? Because that's not something I know.
That's a lot, man. I mean,
whatever you want to throw out there.
I mean, you don't really just start hunting. You have to learn how to track animals and stuff first. So there's a lot. I mean, usually with that, there's a lot of prep. Same with trapping, because because depending on what you're trying to catch, you have to know like how they move and when they move and stuff like that, and you have to go out in the area where you plan on trapping them and see if you can find tracks and stuff like that, and how they're moving,
right,
and plan accordingly.
And if you're going for the long term, I mean, just speaking as the nutritionist side of this, you'll want to go for kind of at least the medium sized game or the big game. Like you talking about your deer or your elk or something like that. That's probably what you're going to be going for. I doubt you're going to be hunting cows.
You get whatever,
but
I mean, if it's frogs, you get that. You can eat turtles.
Well, that too.
You can eat possum, although I wouldn't probably stay away from possum. But
well, yeah. I think don't they come to you?
Possums are nocturnal, so unless you got food or something around out in the open, they're not going to mess with you.
True. But that was literally the first thought. I don't know if you could see it here. I wrote a whole list. The first thing that came up, food and water. Yeah. You can't help anybody else. You can't get anything else done unless you have your own fucking shit in order. And if your body is not in order, you can't do anything else. That was the main point of that. Now, like you say, there's ways to catch things. There's a way to trap them, and there's more benefit for that per calorie expended. And you can also grow shit as well. I know what's his name, Skip, the Free Rifleman. He does that. Rogue Prepared does that as well.
Yeah, you can grow food. It doesn't take much. Like a small, as far as land consumption is concerned. If you're going to be doing it long term, you're going to have to know how to rotate how to rotate crops and stuff like that. But it doesn't take a very big patch of land to be able to grow food and stuff like that and feed not just yourself, but like other people as well.
It doesn't. And I know the perfect example. You know who my perfect example is?
What's that?
My own mother, who she, well, now that I'm not blowing shit up in her backyard anymore, she turned part of the backyard into her own garden. And she grows all kinds of things: squash, tomatoes, peppers, watermelon, all kinds of things.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
I still remember the last time that I visited there, and I'm thinking, and I remember the size of this backyard, because, you know, that's what you remember when you fucking grow up there for years. But I go back and visit, and I'm expecting this big fucking operation, and you know how big it was? It was maybe like 10% of the backyard. It wasn't anything. It was like one side of the fucking wall.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
No, it doesn't. And so that's what you want to grow. And by the way, nothing wrong growing that. Hey, I love peppers. Squash, I guess, is fine. I guess tomatoes. I like barbecue sauce. Maybe ketchup.
Well,
Make your own.
the other part,
Whatever.
the other part too is like whatever you don't consume, you can also you can can.
You can can it.
You can
My
can it.
folks up here, they're very big on canning shit, actually. Now
Yeah.
that you mention that.
Oh yeah, and that just preserves it a lot longer because generally you only have a certain amount of time to you know to grow stuff and harvest it and stuff like that. Then you got the fall and winter comes up, and if it's if you're living in an area that you really can't grow anything during the fall and winter season because it's too cold. So a lot of times to combat this, people will store, like, use canning and stuff like that to preserve food through the fall and winter season.
Yeah, and my folks up here, they're very big on that. Now I don't know if you're talking about other methods of canning, but
Well,
they just use the mason jars and all that stuff and that kind of style.
Yeah.
Now, I use mason jars for other things, but I have not. I've only done it a couple of times.
Yeah, that's
I'm
not
actually
really
trying
hard.
to can something.
You just need a bunch of vinegar and salt and maybe some sugar and stuff like that. Because, especially like with sugar, a lot of people probably don't know that sugar is kind of like a disinfectant.
Really?
Yeah.
Sugar?
Yeah, sugar and salt are great preservatives for food.
Salt, I know, is definitely a good one for that, but I had not thought about sugar.
Yeah, it is. I wouldn't lie.
Okay. I know you wouldn't. That's why I'm surprised. Okay, now I got something. Now I got something else to look up. All right. Make rust off my hat and fuck it. What else did I have on this? Preserve, I guess we covered that. We know that you need food to survive. Kind of fucking important. If it isn't just for yourself, but people who are in your fucking tribe, in your camp, whatever. Fuel. That's another one. You might need to go make a run to wherever. Now, I don't know about you, but if I fill my gas tank up, and I don't exactly drive an SUV, so that's probably one of the reasons why, I can go, and this assumes that the interstates are open. I got about a 450-mile range at the minimum, so I can go to any other state or maybe even Canada to go get something or drop something off. But you may need to go pick shit up. I don't know. On that topic, parts. Shit you need to maintain your fucking vehicle or maintain your fucking house. Now, you talked about that already. Okay, in a without rule of law situation, you might run out of fucking oil. So what happens when you need to make an oil change? You might run out of spark plugs. Might be worth having a few of those around, especially the good ones. I use what is it? My vehicle's it's designed by Japanese people, so I get Denzels, and it lasts 100,000 miles. Who knows how long the fucking shore is gonna last? So get an extra set of them, or even better, not only do that, but keep the old set anyways, because they're so fucking working. Ask me how I know. Anything you want to throw in there?
No, not really. I mean, just keep your vehicle maintained, keep it full of gas. That's one thing that always happens here whenever we have an incoming hurricane is that people run to the gas stations to fill up.
Not just there. I still remember, what was it? Was it Snowpocalypse? I can't remember, but I think it was Snowpocalypse up here in 2019. But there was a problem. There was a time where Enum Claw ended up losing power, and my place in Auburn it lost power for a while too. It got it back in a while, but Enum Claw was out of power for a while, and I went to go hang out with somebody who lives in Enum Claw, and I went to go hike with her. And I had a gas card for Chevron. When there's a Chevron that's like literally right off the street where she lives. And when I went, it was like a million fucking trucks over there, like filling up gas tanks because they were doing it for their generators because their power was still out.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because you got some people that have home generators.
Now at least they had the home generators. And I'm not going to talk down to them because I don't have a generator here. And I'm not even sure where the fuck I'll run it because I'm in a fucking attic unit.
They are very useful to have.
Definitely. What else I got on this list? Sanitization. Oh, remember toilet paper? Remember toilet paper gate?
I would say you can circumnavigate that by installing a bidet on your inside your toilets.
That's assuming you have running water.
Yeah.
Which I guess if you're in Texas, I don't know how good the water is out there out of the tap in Texas, but I'm assuming it's fairly secure out there.
Yeah, I mean, well, I grew up. We had a well, so we got well water because we had to have a well dug because we weren't on any sort of city water grid.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, we lived out in the sticks a little bit, out in the county.
All right, just sanitation shit,
Yeah,
paper towels.
Yeah, paper towels.
Paper towels. Okay, and that depends on who lives with you. Fun fact. It's been forever since I've gone through at least one roll of toilet paper or one toilet paper roll a month since I've been living alone. Did you know that women use a lot more toilet paper than men do?
Yes.
Imagine my shock. But
Yeah,
the other thing, Sorry, go ahead.
Girls are fairly resource intensive in those situations.
A resource intensive in a lot of situations.
Yeah. It's not their fault. They're just girls.
They can't help it. Yeah, that's fair. Can make fun of them, but you know they kind of have to.
I make fun of them. I'm just kind of a prick, though. So
it doesn't make it any less true, you know.
Yeah.
What's next on this list? Backup power. Now I'm behind on this because I have other things to do. We talked about generators, we talked about batteries and all this shit, but a lot of things that actually have to have power here, like the refrigerator, freezer, and some of my other electronics, they have a battery pack backup. That's what I have here. Now, that's talking if there's a power grid backup, you know, the power grid is down. And so, are you able to power your Wi-Fi to communicate with other people? And we have communications coming up later.
Actually, a landline would be best.
You're right. And that's something I had talked to my old company. What was it? A CenturyLink, I think.
Because a landline phone will operate whether or not you have power.
You're 100% right. That's the exact reason why I wanted to get one. And I still will get one at some point.
And if you're going to do that, you might as well have a damn radio or something too.
Well, I got radios.
I mean, kind of like a ham radio.
Oh, okay. That I don't have. That I should have, actually, now that you mention it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not necessary. You know, that's the whole thing about this prepping stuff, man. It's like you can. It's one of those things. It's a rabbit hole, you know.
That's why I'm doing this show. You want to prep, and this is what I think you should prep on. And I'm glad I have you here because you can tell me where I'm going astray, whether I'm on point on this. Because I think there are things that are more important. Again, everybody talks about the AR-15s and the 5.56 ammo and all that stuff. Nobody ever talks about the fucking first aid kits.
Yeah, first aid is going to be important.
Exactly.
You almost want to have that more than you want to worry about having weapons and stuff like that.
To speak nothing of Battlefield pickup season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It really depends on your situation. That's the only problem with prepping, man. It's so context oriented that it's like you can just go down a rabbit hole trying to plan for everything, but you'll never be successful. That's why I like to keep it like real simple. You know, you have enough water for a couple weeks, like fresh water, even if you gotta buy it like cases of bottled. So like inside my garage, I have about 12 to 15 cases of bottled water just stacked.
Damn, up. No kidding.
Yeah, and I've got canned food. I got like Spam and all some other stuff, canned soup and stuff like that. That's ready. You just pop the top on it and
that's good stuff because you know what? That's divisible. Even if you don't use it yourself, you can trade it for other things.
And you can also get like big bags of rice and beans because all you gotta do is you just gotta heat some water up and cook those. Especially pinto beans.
Can I bring up just a slight grievance for that as well? And I have no problem with rice or beans. Don't get me wrong. I have no problem with those. I love them. Can I bring up a slight grievance as far as the rice and beans things? Because I hear that all the fucking time with the what do you call it, with the prepper thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad thing to have, and I have it myself. Trust me. I got red kidney beans, I got pinto beans, I got rice, all that stuff. Look, maybe it's just me, but meat's the best thing you're going to want to have on hand. And so, what I would focus on, and I have the other ones on hand, again, just to be completely clear. But I got canned meats on hand. If it comes to that, if it comes to things that are like preserved or whatever, it's canned meats. That's what I get. And pound for pound, that's going to do the job as far as keeping your body well nutritioned and ready to fucking go than beans and rice is going to do. Nothing wrong with beans and rice. But canned meat is better.
Yeah, but
that's just my take.
Yeah, the thing is, though, if you can afford it, canned meat's expensive. It's extremely expensive. Pound for pound, it's really expensive compared to beans. Then like 5-10 pound bags of beans and rice, because that stuff is relatively cheap, and it's easily storable, and it lasts a really, really long time. So
you're not wrong.
While it's not as nutrient dense as meat would be, if you're in a situation where you haven't, you need food, beans and rice it's not bad. It'll give you what you need.
And by the way, it's not a bad compliment.
And that's the thing.
Let's say you have a bunch of chicken breasts or something, or you have tuna or something, and then you add beans and rice to it. It's not a bad addition. I'm not saying that. But that's going to be the best thing for you. I'm just saying.
Of course, yeah.
I'm saying, put it this way. Towards the end of your stock, that's what you're going to want to be drawing towards. If it comes to that, if you're in a bugging situation where you're like 4 months in and now you're having to dig into the beans, and by the way, beans to rice, I don't know if you knew this, requires a lot of fucking water.
Yeah.
And a ton of fucking water. And now you have to get the fucking water for that.
Yeah, well, they didn't say it's going to be easy, man.
But there's that. I'm not saying don't have that. But go ahead. Always hedge your bets, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm just saying hedge your bets.
Yeah, I mean, because the problem is, like, if you're like 4 months out and in that kind of situation, man, realistically, you're probably out of any kind of canned meat or protein. You've probably gone through that already, and you're smart. You're probably hunting by then. But the thing about that is that
hopefully,
problem with that is, though, you have to find a way to preserve the meat. And if you don't have electricity and stuff or a shit ton of salt, that's gonna be hard to do.
Rogue Preparedness did a video talking about preserving that shit anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely check her out as far as that goes.
Yeah, you can you can dry it out and turn the jerky with salt and stuff like that, but it's a lot more of a process to preserve meat than it is to preserve rice and beans and shit like that. So
This is already dry.
Yeah, it's already dry.
So
All you have to do is add water. So you're set.
problem is getting the water. But no, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, because preserving meat is more resource intensive than it is rice and beans. And beans do have a little bit of protein in them.
They do. I had no problem with beans. No problem with them.
Because another thing you have to worry about too is if you're out that long, you're not going to be the only one supposedly hunting food. There's going to be other people out there, and that's going to be a problem. So,
you hit on along a point that I wanted to hit on later, and that's hiding your shit. Shut your trap, foe. Don't talk about it. Don't put it out there. You hit on that. What do we have on here? Backup power, batteries, lights, all that stuff. I'm gonna take a wild guess, and you already have that taken care of.
Yeah.
Look, especially like what Bull has said, you need to be able to cook your stuff. So you're going to have the fuel on hand.
Or you just make fire. You know.
Exactly. Now, in my case, I have not just this place which has natural gas, but I have a propane stove that can cook things, which I still need to get a fucking 20-gallon thing for, of which I have an adapter for. But not only does that provide heat, it will cook whatever I have here. And that's going to help, even if it's something that is already cooked, you can eat it, whether it's refrigerator or room temperature or whatever. You can deal with that. It makes it even better. Along with that, tools / assets. And I think that's probably the most important thing. If you're prepping, that's the one thing that you want to have. Now, I can compare most things in the vehicle. Assets, I don't know who listens to this channel, but if you need something driven within a couple of days in the country, I can drive it there with my own fucking vehicle with 2, maybe 3 refills of gasoline. I have that ability. So always have skills to fucking deal with this shit. Whatever is coming.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Depending on what your situation is, having hand tools, like basic hand tools, and
Exactly,
and having the skill set to know how to build things, even at a very basic level, is really important. That's why I keep saying, like, people always want to focus on the gear and stuff that they have, but in reality, the more important thing to have is actually having skill sets, man, having skills to do stuff, knowing how to grow food, knowing how to hunt, knowing how to fish, stuff like that that'll keep you alive. Basic first aid and stuff like that.
You're not there to do anything else. Again, I have to say, a lot of people they focus on the AR-15s and all the fucking ammo they have and all this other shit. There's other things you need to do.
Well, it's like stuff like you talking about water filtration and stuff like that. I mean, look, you can boil water. If you can make fire, you can boil. That's the biggest thing. If you can make fire, a lot of your problems are going to be solved. Like you're not having to worry about a whole lot of stuff. You might have to do a lot of work, but in the end, if you can make fire, a lot of your problems is at the basic level of surviving are solved. I mean, you have all these salt, iodine treatment tabs and stuff, and water filtration devices and stuff like that.
That too.
But at the end of the day, all you really need is a pot and a fire, and put the water in there and heat it up. Get it to boiling, 212 degrees, and you're set. You boil it for a while, and that kills all the bacteria, and it's going to hurt you.
100% right.
It might be a little dirty, might be kind of gross, but it's not going to give you dysentery.
Well, and that's the point.
And the other thing too, you have to understand with all this gear that you acquire, you have to understand if you have to move somewhere, you're going to probably take some. I mean, that's just more crap that you got to haul, man.
Right.
So, I mean, most people that are prepping, they do not intend to go very far if they go anywhere.
Right. Exactly.
Which that's most people. A lot of people are like, "Well, I would bug out," and it's like, "Well, where are you going to bug out to? You have to have a backup place, and it's got to be set up, ready to go."
That's the point of bugging out.
Like me, I have no intention of doing that because
same here.
I'm fine right here where I'm at. If I were to have to move, I won't have to move very far because there's several dozens of acres of woods and stuff out where I'm at. Plus, I'm next to a major river fork, so I'd have water. It'll be gross, but
nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, all right, I talked about booze.
That's another thing too. You gotta have to have shelter. If you plan on leaving and going somewhere, you're gonna have to have some form of shelter.
That's the whole point of going there, after all. All right. I think the next on this is, we talked about booze. You want to have good booze because I think if I was to pick one, would be what is it? Wild Turkey 101, because that's pretty decent for its proof versus its taste and all that stuff. It's pretty good. Most people will pay for.
The only time I would have alcohol or anything like that is for disinfectant reasons. Otherwise, I wouldn't be drinking a whole lot of alcohol because alcohol is a diuretic and it'll make you thirsty.
That's true, actually. Now, I'm glad you bring it up. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. But people are going to want their vices.
Well, that's why.
And we get talking about.
I would keep it because look. Here's the thing, though. Alcohol and stuff like that. That's a luxury if you're going to drink it. Now, the only I'd keep it. If I had some, I'd either have it stored as some sort of to barter with, or for medicinal reasons. But just getting hammered Like that's the farthest thing away from what you need to be doing or concerning yourself with.
Well, in a without rule of law situation, you're not going to be worried about getting hammered, anyways. So
You're gonna be too.
you're going to be saving that shit.
Yeah, you're gonna be too damn busy for shit like that. Trust me.
No kidding. But that's why I picked. What was it? Wild Turkey 101. That's the one that I would pick.
Really, anything
because
above
that's kind of the balance. Because
anything above 80 proof is good. 80 proof or higher. That'll do you.
that'll do you. Because I think that would, even if you needed it for, what do you call it? Disaffecting things, that would do it.
Yeah. And that's like in a pinch too, mind you, because you should have other stuff for that already. Like that's last resort kind of stuff, you know?
You're right.
Because if you're having to pour Jack Daniels or Wild Turkey on a wound or something to disinfect it, all I can say is if that's your first go-to for that stuff, mistakes have been made.
Jack Daniels, I wouldn't use that.
Yeah, you can use it. It's over 80
You
proof.
can, but
Well, if you don't have anything else, beggars can't be choosers.
right. Next on the list, non-firearms. Now we talked about that here before. Blunt weapons. I've showed you my hammer. I can go grab it if you want. Bladed weapons, all this other shit. Everything else. Keep in mind, unless it's just straight up, there's no rule of law anymore. Ever. Where using a firearm is nobody ever fucking pays attention to it anymore. Your firearm is your last form of defense. That's what you want to use it for. Whether it's your 9mm, whether it's your AR-15, you don't want to use that. Don't worry, that's in the list that I put in here.
You can always look into crossbows and regular bows and stuff like bows and arrows, man. They're quiet. Especially if you're out hunting.
That's in there.
Especially if you're out hunting and stuff and you don't want to alert anybody else to your area.
Exactly.
Really good thing to have.
One thing I wanted to throw in here about knives is, okay, again, just putting it out there, it's an assassination weapon.
Well,
that's something where you get real close into somebody and you're able to use it.
Well, more importantly than that, inside that kind of situation, is you're going to need sharp objects for more than anything is for food processing.
That too.
That's a more important reason to have it than for self-defense.
Again, I think what was it? Michael Hawk's thing. The most important tool you're gonna ever have with you is gonna be a knife.
Yeah.
For that exact reason. But I'm not saying that firearms are not a good thing to not have. Definitely have those. Because there's a point where you might actually need them, but they're a last resort as far as self-defense goes. Um, right below that, I think it was currency, and that's what was
Yep.
currency is one of the things that was what Royal Preparedness was talking about. Whether we talk about cryptocurrency, we talk about silver. By the way, can't get that anymore these days. All that stuff. And all that is really a hedge against, okay, all of us use, whoever listens to the show, chances are you use the US dollar to buy everything here. The thing with all those other things, the Bitcoins and the silvers and all this other stuff, it's a hedge in case the US dollar loses its reserve currency against literally everyone else, Russia, China, Brazil, whatever. So it's still not a bad idea to have the US dollar, but it's a good idea to diversify out of it. Who knows when that's going to happen? What else we got here?
Well, if you want to, I don't know, man. Like you can carry paper money with you, but it may not be worth anything in that
The
situation.
only reason you would carry it is because it's worth anything.
To make a fire with, maybe.
Maybe that too, but still,
I'd rather carry precious metals or because those
if you can get them. By
Yeah.
the way, just so you know, I tried contacting my local place that you can get the precious metals, and they don't have them at all. Not silver, not gold, not palladium, any of it at all. They can't get it at all.
And that's the other thing too is like even depending on how bad things really get, even gold and silver and stuff like the precious metals won't be worth much because what the hell can you do with them? People might be, medical supplies will be pretty important to have to exchange with because then you're going to be on a barter system by then. So you're gonna want stuff like bullets.
Bullets are another thing I talked about here.
Bullets can
And
be
I should have mentioned that earlier.
pretty much
Probably
anything.
better to have the bullets, actually have the ammunition, so you can actually trade that. I think that's another thing that
you can even trade excess. Like if you have extra supplies of food, that could be like I said, the regular currency and stuff probably won't be worth a shit by then. So you're gonna have other things to barter with, like food, medical supplies, ammunition, stuff
medical supplies.
Yeah,
definitely. One thing that definitely needs to be talked about, and nobody talks about that. I'm glad you brought that up. Nobody talks about that.
If you have extra storage of antibiotics and stuff like that, that would be helpful. You can use that. So there's a lot of stuff that you don't have to necessarily have precious metals. There are some situations where they would be useful, but don't count on them being useful all the time in every situation.
No, you're right. 100% right about that. What else is on this list?
Hell, sometimes lead could be more precious than gold and silver, because at least with lead you can cast bullets and stuff with it.
You're 100% right about that. I made sure that I pointed that out, or at least I tried to. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. What else is on this list? Currency, precious metals, US dollars, crypto, whatever. Again, all those are hedges against whatever currency you're using. And I'm going to be deadly honest here. Chances are, if you listen to this channel, you're using the US dollar. And honestly, let's just be honest. There isn't any other currency that's going to be able to topple that anytime soon. Whether it's Russian ruble, whether it's Chinese yen, they're not going to topple that anytime soon. They're all dependent on us for now. But there is still a possibility that they could be the big kahuna later. Who knows? It doesn't hurt for you to diversify out of that. And that's what, if you're investing in another currency, that's what it is. It's a hedge against whether this country loses its world reserve currency status. That's what it is. I could be wrong. Please correct me if I am. And I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But it could happen. I'm just saying, hedge your bets. But that's what it is. If you're going to invest in any other currency, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's silver, whether it's gold, whether it's Chinese yuan or Russian rubles or whatever the fuck it is, that's what it is. What else is on this list? Non-firearms weapons. Do you know anything about non-firearm weapons, Bull Rush? I know you're always talking about shooting shit, so. But I know you know about I know you know about the other shit. Don't worry about that.
Always make a potato gun. Nothing wrong with that.
You can make a potato gun. You don't want to get hit with a potato coming at you at 1,800 feet per second.
Oh, yeah. Can you believe that? Getting killed by a damn potato gun? You go up to heaven, you see a little boy at the gate. He's like, how you died? It's like, oh, I got killed by a potato gun.
You're right about that. That would suck.
That would suck. That'd be a bad day.
Well, hell, you're talking about going into eternity, you know, and
it's like you're in line to go into heaven, and like you start talking to people. It's like everyone's like, "How'd you die?" "Oh, I got in a car accident." You know, like, "How'd you die?" "Oh, I got attacked by a bear." It's like, "How'd you die?" I got hit in the chest with a potato gun.
But that would do it though. That's the thing. That's the problem.
That would be funny, and you'd have all of eternity to live that down.
You have all the eternity to live that down.
Yeah,
you're right, but it doesn't make it any less effective. You got there for a reason.
Yeah,
and so that's why I brought up non-firearms, blunt weapons. I have the fucking hammer that you've seen before. That's what I use to take out the device that is not working anymore. And one of the reasons it's not working anymore because I took it out with a fucking hammer.
There you go. Teach that damn thing a lesson.
I sure fucking did. Hammer's gonna work. What else? Bladed weapons. Machetes always talk about those. And that's just something that, who knows if I'll be able to use those in a situation. I might have to use firearms before I have to use those weapons, but they're a weapon. Again, keep in mind, when you talk about firearms, that's your last method of defense. That's the one you want to use the least. That's the last one you want to use. Because unless it's a what do you call it basically is the last thing you want to use. Again, going back to Kyle Rittenhouse and other people. You don't want to use those unless you absolutely have to. Because the laws are fucked as far as using those. You don't want to use those. And so that's why that's last kind of on my list as far as, having all the AR-15 ammo, let alone having the AR-15s and all that shit. And that's fine. And it's nothing wrong with having those. But you got other shit to worry about. And that gets into the fire things. Okay, you want to have that shit because that's what is most common. Well, at least until the last few months, because you can't find AR-15 ammo anymore. You can't find 223. You can't find 556 ammo. 556 ammo anymore. You can't find any ammo anymore. You're gonna have to. You're gonna have.
Arm and a leg, dude.
Go ahead.
I say you can find it. It just costs you an arm and a leg right now.
It will. But you can't find any ammo anymore. That's the thing. That's what I want to put out there. Okay. Let's say you're even allowed to do that.
Yeah.
What if you're not? What if you're not?
If I'm in that situation, I'm not worried about what I can, what the law allows me to do and can't do. I'm gonna make it anyway.
Exactly. And what if you're not allowed to have that at all? What if you're not allowed to buy that legally? You'll have to rely on Battlefield pickup season, which is what I'm looking forward to. Look, you can't just focus on that. That was the whole point of this post. You got other things to prepare for. Look, have fucking food. Have power.
I mean, if that's the case, you can usually you may be able to trade for ammo and a gun or something like that, but it's not.
That's the other thing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. My apologies if I did. But yeah, you know what? Rogue Preparedness, she brought this up. She brought up bringing, what was it, 45 ACP ammo. Like, people buy ammo for guns that they don't even have, but they have them for trading.
Yeah.
I don't know, for eggs or for rice and beans and all this other shit.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. In those type of situations, you never know what's going to be the store of value, because whoever you run into, wherever you want to trade with, they might be full up on ammunition and guns. They might not need no more, but they might need medical supplies or antibiotics because someone's sick. And
I'm glad you brought that up. Everyone's always talking about the pews and all this shit. Nobody ever thinks about the fucking antibiotics. Maybe you have antibiotics that you could trade for somebody.
Yeah.
You know? What else we got? Firearms, ammo, all that shit. Okay, we just talked about that. No, but you're right about that. How about having a good squad with you? Now, I don't know about you, Bull Rush, but at least the people here at the Broken Guitar Ranch, we're pretty fucking tight with each other. It's like, okay, if shit breaks down here, what can we do with each other? How good is your squad in your area? That's kind of fucking important. Again, Joe Dolia has pointed that out.
Yep.
You can't be a fucking lone wolf and deal with this shit. You can, but it's not a good idea. But how about the people in your area? How about the people in your block? I don't know what area you live in, Bull Rush, but my area, I've got the people who are in my building and several of the people who are outside of it. It's like, you know what? We'll look out for each other. That's kind of an important thing to look for when it comes to dealing with all hell breaking loose. You know what? If the people in my area are looking at the same shit that I'm looking at, then I'm at least a little bit more secure, at least, because we're all on the same page. Let's at least make sure we're all on the same page. That make any sense to you?
Yeah. It just depends. I don't know. Judging by my what the hell's that app? Judging by my next door app, I live near a bunch of parent shit. So
Really?
that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's what I'm saying. That's why having skills and knowledge about stuff like this is really important, because usually the one who has the most knowledge about stuff like this is usually the leader. You can get a group to do stuff for you.
Exactly. And that leads to another point I had, and this goes off whatever the fuck I was looking at. Skills. What skills do you have?
Exactly.
You know what? I can repair vehicles pretty well, or at least I can maintain them. And just as far as just skills that are pretty much pertaining to me. Now, I don't know about you, but at least with my vehicle and how I can operate it, I got about 450 miles worth of distance I can put with that vehicle and could transport shit. That's a skill. Most people can't fucking do that.
That's correct.
Talking about nutrition and shit, I guess, or being able to use whatever rations you have to your best effect. Most people don't have that. So at least I have that going. There's the martial arts shit, I guess, that sort of is a tertiary thing, because most people are going to be fighting hand to hand. Hopefully, at least they aren't. And I can mix different alcohols, and that's a whole different thing entirely. And that gets into a whole other different thing, which we'll get into later. That gets into the morale thing. By the way, did you know morale is kind of important in martial times and military things? Did you know that was important? I don't know if you knew that or not.
I've heard it was.
Didn't you have a story or something that you had things that were added into MREs or something that will help with morale?
No, I mean,
No?
yeah, like Skittles and shit, but you don't want to eat those. Jesus Christ. Uh, you're talking about the razors?
Not about the razors, but I don't know. Look, morale as far as being in wartime goes, that's kind of important. That's what I was getting to.
Yeah. Like,
Morale is kind of fucking important.
yeah.
And things that make life worth living, whether it's games, whether it's things you can do with other people and all this other stuff, that's kind of important too. I'm smoking a cigar right now, which I'm almost done with because it's almost at the end. But things like that, it's you have to keep the truth morale. You have to keep your tribe or your squad or whatever. They have to be in good spirits, or at least close to it. Again, it's been a while since I've dealt with this before, so you'd have to tell me about this.
About morale?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that, man. Like people tend to be in better spirits when they're not hungry, when they're not tired, they're not thirsty. Usually, if they have all those basic needs met, they're pretty. They can be pretty good. But like I said, there's so much crap that goes into that, man. There's so many variables. It's just it's hard to say.
That's fair, and
That's
gonna
it's important to have in those type of situations to be mentally tough is another important aspect of that. Just not having to rely on someone else to keep your morale up, but you got to stay positive in a positive mindset. You have to keep your morale up too. So
you're right about that.
Because you can have all the skills in the world, but if you don't have the mindset to survive and to be able to thrive under harsh conditions, you're not going to make it very far.
Be right back. Brush, keep us going.
Okay.
Boris was supposed to keep us going, but whatever, that's fine.
I'm just checking my email. I said everything I needed to say. Just keep your morale up too, because that shit it's someone with a shit poor morale it can catch on pretty fast, and likewise someone with a who's positive that'll catch on too. So
well, you have to be positive. You have to have a positive outcome to come to, no matter what. And you can tell me. Go ahead.
It's important to have a positive mindset and to have the mindset that you're willing to do anything and everything to survive. And
not only that, but to thrive afterwards,
Right.
I mean, there's a difference between surviving. My what was it? My little buddy, she always talks about surviving. And her idea is, what was it? Getting fucking dog food. And I'm not saying she's wrong about this. She'll have like dog food or something, and that has all the nutrients that somebody will need to get through. But there's surviving and there's thriving. Now,
yeah,
it depends on how much I'm able to keep things running here, but she's talking about dog food. I'm talking about eating steaks, and That's a totally fucking different thing. I don't know about you. I'd rather eat steaks and eggs than dog food.
Well, the difference between surviving and thriving is that it's sustainability. So
Right.
basically what that means, like if you like I said, it goes back to skill. If you know how to grow food and cultivate food and crops and stuff like that, that's thriving. Okay.
Exactly. And I'm glad you brought that up. That again, that cannot be brought up enough. Skills that you have. Again, talking about skills, being able to have food ready to go or grow it or be able to capture it or whatever. That's a much bigger difference than just relying on, I don't know, dog food and all this other shit.
Right. So an example of like surviving is basically scavenging for food and stuff like that. If you don't know how to do any of the other stuff like gardening or like growing crops or harvesting food from some other sources, you're basically scavenging from place to place. That's surviving. Like that's different from thriving. Like I said, thriving is when
Right.
you can grow your own food and provide some sort of sustainability as far as stuff like that goes.
Right.
If you have a consistent water source or something like that, you're sustainable.
Goes back to my point of being able to, I don't know, filter that water and all this stuff. What else is on this list? Currency, that was one of them. How much you know about currency, Blow Rush?
All I know is that for short term, precious metals might be useful, but after an extended period of time, they probably won't be. You'll probably have there's going to be other stuff that's going to be more important because you can't eat gold and silver. You can't shoot gold and silver.
Exactly.
I mean, it's nice to have, but it's not really necessary in basic stuff, as far as I know. People are going to want stuff. You're going to want stuff to barter with.
Well, that's the whole point of currency, and basically it's, and that's the point I had to make with Morgan. All
currency it's an agreed upon store of value, right?
Exactly.
So if someone doesn't value that piece of paper or that piece of gold or whatever, you don't have any. They don't value it. You have nothing to barter with or trade with.
Right. But the point, reach back to Aaron Clarion, this is the person I learned this from. So I'm just going to give him his credit here. All that is, whether it's the US dollar, whether it's silver, whether it's gold, whether it's crypto, whether it's anything else, it's a medium of exchange. That's all a currency is.
Yeah, it's an agreed upon medium of exchange of value.
Exactly. And so use that to get whatever you want. Now, I think, what was it? Rogue had talked about was like, okay, let's say you, Bull Rush, you have a tractor and I have a bunch of hens that can lay eggs and some shit. And I borrow your tractor to do whatever the hell I need your tractor to do. And by the way, the tractor is an asset. That's another thing I have written down here.
I wouldn't let you borrow shit, to be honest. Because, I mean, you got to look at it this way. What happens if you flip the tractor over and fuck it up or something like that? Then I got to shoot you and take all your chickens.
That's a whole nother thing entirely.
But see, you can also trade goods for services and vice versa too.
Right. But that's the whole thing about the cryptocurrencies and the silver. It's a medium. It's a hedge. If you're going to invest in that shit, you understand you're investing in a hedge against whatever the main currency is. Here being the U.S. dollar, which has the U.S. reserve. It has the world's reserve currency. Because as bad as things are going here, everywhere else, no one trusts Russia's rubles. No one trusts China's yen. No one trusts whatever the fuck Brazil uses, or India for that matter. Nobody fucking trusts them for that shit. And so that's the reason that we can go money printer, goes burr.
Yeah.
That's the reason we can do that shit here, is because everyone else buys into our shit. Now, if that ever goes, if ever that is in jeopardy, that's where these stores of silver, these stores of crypto, or whatever the fuck it is, these other currencies, and that's what they are. They're hedged in case things go wrong. In case, I don't know, maybe Russia gets the shit together and they're not as corrupt. China is not as corrupt. Whatever. That's what it is. On this list as well, what is it? We talked about firearms, non-firearms. What other non-firearms would you, just because I have to ask you because we always talk about this.
Non-firearms, for what purpose? I mean, it's really depends on the context. You're
hunting, defense, whichever one you want to touch on.
Well, I mean, if you don't have without firearms, I'd have to go. The next best thing would be, with bows and arrows and stuff like that. For long range, up close. I mean, shit. What do you got? Rock. Peg someone in the head with a rock. Any kind of bladed weapon.
Now, what I have written down here is blunt. That would be
you got
the hammer that I carry.
Yeah, you got blunt weapons, edge weapons, projectiles. Like I said, bow and arrow. That's pretty much what you got. Anything's better than nothing.
It is. You nailed every single one that I had listed here. Now, the reason that I wrote those down is because who knows what's going to happen down the line here. Again, I'm not disagreeing with having a fucking 5.56 or having a 9mm with you or whatever you have. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But you have to understand that is a last resort weapon. And I'm sure you understand that. I'm pretty sure you're not pulling a fucking AR-15 on somebody who cuts you off in the fucking in line at the local Safeway or wherever the fuck the store is down in Houston or whatever.
You're not gonna be worried about stuff like that though. As far as the thing though, as far as self-defense, hunting purposes and stuff like that, any type of firearm is going to be the most efficient form factor to use above anything else. So,
right.
If I had my choice, and that's in most instances, for most examples, you just, it's like one of those things. It's like it's the highest form factor that you can use, and it's multi-role too. You can use it for different stuff.
Yeah, you can. And you're 100% right. And by the way, just to throw this in there, you want to make women equal to men as far as damage dealt? Give them firearms. I'm just saying.
Well, you gotta train them first.
Like that too, but that goes for both. That goes for both genders. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But that's my point.
Simply giving somebody a gun does not make it doesn't make them formidable or anything like that. You got to have the training and stuff too. Just even basic training.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right, my friend. But even then, like, that's what you resort to last. You don't want to use that, especially against your fellow man. And so that's why I always focus on other things you could use. That's why, and the other thing, again, just to bring that up, everybody always talks about the ARs and their 5.56 and their sidearms and all this other shit. It's easy to talk about that. But there's other things that you can bring up. Look, you want to be prepared? Okay, we know that's a given. Have your fucking firearms. I'm not saying don't have those. But you got other shit you need to deal with. You're not going to shoot at anybody. You're not going to shoot your way out of every fucking problem. Okay, what if you don't have anything to fucking eat? What if you don't have any fucking drink? You can't shoot your way into better water unless you're raiding somebody. You know?
Yeah.
That's why I bring it up. But there's others. By the way, did you hear that ammunition's got kind of expensive? You can even find it at all?
Oh, yeah. I know. I've been keeping up on it.
So maybe look into other fucking things? Okay. Let's say just wrist rockets, for example. You know what a wrist rocket is?
Yeah, I had them when I was younger. When I was a kid, man. I used to be pretty good with them, too.
I believe it.
Yeah, you
Now,
get
I don't know if you knew.
get you a little
Circa.
what you do is you get you some ball bearings, some stainless steel ball bearings.
Exactly, specifically. What was I looking at? Oh, well, I actually have them now. 50 caliber ball bearings, the half-inch ones, which I kind of have to use because my fingers are a little bit large. I can't use the standard ones that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't aim for shit with those, but the big ones I can.
Yeah. You can definitely do some damage with that.
You can do a shit ton of damage with that. And you were talking about small game earlier.
Yeah.
That will definitely fucking do it.
Yeah. Well, varmints and stuff like that, you have to get pretty close, though. So you're going to have to be sitting up in a tree or something somewhere looking down.
Depends. Whatever. But that's an alternative. You know what? You talk about bladed weapons. I always talk about bladed weapons.
I'd rather trap
and
in.
I'm like,
that'd be easier.
Trapping is definitely easier. And I'm glad you brought that up because I was on the list, I think. You know what? As far as diet goes, I'm going to lean more animal side anyways because that's better for humanity anyways. So trapping an animal, that's going to be a lot better. And you trap an animal and then you could take it out later. That's less calories expended. It's a lot easier. Sure, the animal suffers a little bit more because it's trapped, but it's still going to be dispatched anyways. But that's a lot easier as far as that goes. It's definitely a lot easier than hunting. You got to be out there like sub-zero temperatures or whatever the fuck you have to do to hunt animals with a rifle or whatever. And by the way, rifle ammo is like $10 a round now, or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, it depends on the caliber, or it depends on the cartridge.
Right. What else did I have on this list? Personal items. Oh! All right, we talked about currency, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Personal items. Okay. That's going to be closer to you. Now, I have tampons here. If you're a woman, if you're like rogue prepared, I'm going to assume she's young enough to still have to deal with this problem, but
yeah, I don't have that
she's
problem.
Same here. But, some are going to have the problem. Maybe they need to stock up on those. We're talking about preparing. A lot of this shit that I'm talking about is going to go out of fucking stock. We're already talking, the ammo's already out of stock. We're just talking about everything else going out of stock. The grocery store is going to be fucking empty. That's the whole point of this. And so, okay, maybe she doesn't want to make a whole bunch of fucking rags and shit. So she'll have to stock up on that. On the other end, condoms. And by the way, they're more for not just for whatever use that they normally have. I don't know what these condoms used for anymore. I haven't used one in a while. But what was it? I think it was the English that did this. They issued their troops a bunch of condoms, and what they used them for was keeping. They put them on the tips of their rifles, so they can go through like boggy marshes and shit like that.
Yeah, you put the condom over the muzzle of your rifle so it doesn't get water down the barrel.
Right, exactly. They have more uses than just what you think they're for. Same with tampons. I think tampons you can actually use to dress wounds pretty well, better than most. What do you call them? Most gauze pads and all this other shit.
Yeah, you can do that.
There's other. Yeah, you're right. And there's other things you can get. Did you know a lot of people are on meds, by the way?
Yes.
It may be worth it stocking up on those. First of all, if you're one of the people who have to have these meds, they're not going to be very available once shit hits the fan. But hell, if you're not one of them,
the problem is though, depending on what you're talking. If you're talking about short term or long term, short term is a few weeks, long term is months, maybe even years. And whenever you get into the long term with months and years, people that have chronic issues like with heart disease, diabetes and stuff, they're going to die. That's just a given. They're not going to make it. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is.
It's natural selection. I mean,
yes,
but no, you're right. But I'm just saying, have that shit on hand. Maybe you can. Again, it's trading material like alcohol. I think I don't know if I brought that up earlier, but
yeah, we did.
Okay. But hey, a lot of people drink alcohol. I probably won't be drinking as much if shit hits the fan because I want to save it. But talk about morale again. People will want to drink alcohol. Have it on hand. If I was to pick one, Wild Turkey 101. And that not only is a pretty decent alcohol, but it's a high enough proof that if we need to treat a fucking wound or something, it's at least in the ballpark of being able to treat that wound. What else we got on this list? Tampon meds. Squad intel. Oh, having people around that are on the same fucking page. Now, I don't know about you. I imagine you, Boris, you probably have that.
I think we already talked about that. We're having neighbors and stuff on your side and everything.
Okay, yeah. All right, maybe we did. Let's bring it up again because I think it is that important. You know, Joe's brought it up a lot, and he's right. Now, I've done a lot of things that I could just do things on myself, but you know what? He's right. You need other people there that are on your side to help you out. You know, if shit has really hit the fucking fan. And whatever other skills they bring there, that's fine. But at least have them on your fucking side. I think that's important. On the other side, talking about I added this at the end here. Armor. This is something you would know about, Bull Rush. How about having level 3, level 4 armor and all this other shit?
It's nice, but it's not a necessity.
I'd say it'd be a nice thing to fucking have, though.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that it would be nice to have. That's what I'm saying. It's not a necessity.
I'm not saying it's a necessity, but you know what? Everyone's always talking about what to shoot. Nobody ever talks about what can protect you. That's why I brought it up. What else here? Exercise goes. Oh, keep yourself harder to kill. DrewBay.com. You guys know who that is? Bay.com, actually. Sorry about that. BAYE.com. Okay, you might have to improvise that because exercise. I don't know if you knew this. Exercise equipment hard to come by these days. I wanted to upgrade a lot of the shit that I was doing the last few months, but couldn't fucking find it because all the exercise equipment was gone. And it still is. But being able to keep yourself in shape, be able to lift heavy shit, put it down, which I don't know if you knew this, kind of important in the fucking war situation. What would you know about war anyway? You were only a Marine. You were only in Afghanistan or Iraq or whatever. You wouldn't know anything about that, right? You know, being able to fucking move shit, carry 20 pounds or shit, like, you know. You wouldn't know anything about that. No, yeah, kind of important to be able to move shit around and be able to exercise to do that shit. In the case, you know, where I don't know.
It depends on the situation, man. Long-term kind of stuff like that, you're going to be getting all the exercise you're going to want. In fact, if it gets down to it, you're going to where you have to start expending calories per certain activity. You know, that stuff there, like excess, like being able to exercise and stuff like that, that's not even going to work that's not even going to work out most of the time.
Well, no, I'm talking more about you're preparing to get into that scenario in the first place. And so you're preparing for that. So if you're in it, you know, okay, you have to do it and there's no getting around it. I would rather people, if they're listening to this show, get yourself in that condition where if you end up in that position, then you're at least prepared for it. You know, if that makes any sense. That's why I bring this up. But look, your body's your number one. It's your number one asset. You can't help anyone else out if you don't have your own shit in order. You have to have that in check. You have to have that ready to go because you can't help anybody else out if you don't have that ready to go. Boros, you can't pull me, like, if I get shot, if we're in the same troop or something and I get shot and you're not in shape, you can't pull me out of the fucking situation if you're not in shape. Let's just put it that way. And if you want to put in whatever situation, you know, that you've dealt with to rectify that or whatever, go ahead. But that's the thing. You have to be in shape. Isn't the whole fucking point of basic training or advanced infantry training or whatever that you went through or back training or whatever? You have to be in shape. You have to have your shit in order. That's the point I'm making.
Well, the important thing is to be in shape to the point that you're not a physical liability to other people.
Exactly. What's next on this list? Oh, you want to know what? Now I've gotten pushback as far as prepping things goes. You want to know what prepping has a very big overlap for?
What?
Hiking.
Oh, yeah.
Hiking, camping, all this other stuff. A lot of stuff that you will prepare for in case, I don't know, maybe you need to bug out, you need to go to the woods or whatever. What that has in common is it's the same shit that you would take going to camping.
Well, yeah.
Blow up mattress, you know, a camping stove.
I mean, the mattress is that's not even a necessity.
It isn't. No. It's just something I insist on, but that's
You
just
just
me.
have to understand that if you're hiking, that's just extra gear you got to haul. That's extra weight, man. It's extra weight.
It is, and that goes back into whatever weapon you're going to carry. Why is 556 ammo the best that we can do so far? It's because it's the best one that we can carry.
Well, it's lighter than 308.
That too. Well, yeah. Well, 308, that's what you're using for sniping and shit anyways, and that's more specialized.
No, 308 is the most. 308 is the most. It's the most popular round in the whole world by like a lot and over several decades. 308.
It is? I'm not kidding.
We've been using 308 since like before World War One, dude.
Okay. All right. Look, you know more about that than I do, so I defer to you as far as that info goes.
That's the most popular cartridge in the world, and it's one of the oldest ones too.
Okay. The reason I brought up 223 or 556 is the best as far as military because you can carry way more and you can do a lot more of that. It's more versatile. That's what I know. You can tell me more about that if you want to. That's why I bring it up. But it's more portable. You can carry more per pound or whatever. But that leads to what I was saying. If you're talking about, you need to bug out, you need to go camp out somewhere else.
Actually, if I had my pick between 308 and 556, I'd rather carry 308.
I don't blame you.
Because the thing about it is that 556 is really a varmint round. It's 22 caliber round. It's not that big. Like if you want to go after me, now there are some 556 cartridges that they're on the heavier side. They're like 72 grain, 75 grain, and stuff like that. And you can
That's
kill
pretty
deer.
heavy for 223.
Yeah, and you can hunt deer, I think, with that if you hit them in the right spot. But 308 is just it's just a much better round. It's more versatile round. You can shoot just about anything. Any kind of 308 will bring down anything in North America. Any kind of game in North America, you can take down with 308.
No, and I'm not saying that 308 is a bad round. Not at all. I'm not saying that at all. It's one of the best rounds out there. I'm just saying there's a reason that U.S. Army, I don't know about the Air Force. You can tell me about that. But the military here, they use 556 or 223. They use that for a reason. That's that's the only reason I'm saying that.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. If I had to pick a round, yeah, you're right. 308 would be a good round. 762 or whatever. But the reason I brought that up is, you can carry a lot more of them than you can carry with the 762 by 51 millimeter, whatever it is. That's the only reason I brought that up. It's capacity, all that stuff. And it's the same thing. That's why I brought up with the camping thing. You want things that are light to carry, that are bang for your buck. Now, I don't know if you want to shoot grizzly bears with 223 rounds or whatever. Well, hopefully you're not camping in grizzly territory.
Hey, you never know.
You're right. But most of your prepping gear and stuff, it's also camping gear. That's what I want to bring up. That's all it is. It's shit that you're going to bring with if you're camping. If you have to bug out, it's the same fucking shit. That's all it is. You know, what did I have? I still have the tent that my father he took me on when I was 12. It's a 7x7. It's a Northwest Territory. We camped in that, and I still have the fucking tent actually.
Mm-hmm.
And now, what I have to go with it is a 12x12 gazebo. That's why I went with camping with Hot Russian X. And I have a blow up tent. It's not a PVC. It was TPU. I can't remember what it stands for. But it's a much better material. It's a lot better. And a bunch of other things. The point is, the bug out shit that people talk about, it's camping material. Camping stoves, you know, the tents and all this other shit.
That's
If
all,
we,
that's
if
all
I even use
weight, man.
it, go ahead.
I said all that shit's extra weight and it's unnecessary.
Depends on your operation. If you're on foot, then that's definitely extra weight. Usually, if I'm carrying that stuff, I'm in a car, so it's being carried by that. But yeah, if you're on foot, that's definitely a factor. But I'm even doing that. Yeah, if I was on foot, that'd be a whole different thing. Usually I'm in a car. What else is on this list? Cover personnel items, I think. Your squad, we talked about that. Having people around that can be helpful. Intel, that's definitely a good thing. What's going on in your general area? Armor, we already talked about that as well. Exercise equipment. Keeping yourself in shape.
We already talked about that.
We did. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that stuff. You don't have to worry about exercise equipment. None of that stuff is necessary. You're not. That's the least of your concerns.
Depending on your environment, you may be bugged in a place where, you know, you're just here. You're here for months. You know, like, let's say I get straight into Fort Skydage for months. Now I'm not doing anything.
Oh, you're gonna be doing a lot of stuff, bro. Trust me.
I'm not saying you're wrong. Hear me out. You know, there's nothing going on. No, there's no roving bands on street, but for whatever reason, I'm stuck here. Maybe I'm unemployed, whatever. But I still want to keep myself in shape.
Well, even then, push-ups are free. You know.
No, you're right, and you hit upon a good point. Free weight, or just body weight exercise, definitely good. That's what I. And by the way, my exercise workout was it Thursday? Is I do just the free weight exercises, and by the way, Bay.com. Go check him out. Baye.com. BAYE.com. I've been putting some of what he's been saying into practice, and Jesus Christ, it has worked. It is working. I woke up this morning, Saturday morning, dealing with that shit. Just saying. But your exercise, you need to keep yourself in shape. That's all I'm saying. But exercise equipment, if you can get it, if you have it, is dumbbells, barbells, whatever you have on, keep that on hand. Definitely good to have. Because it's going to be necessary. Maybe you're holed up for a fucking year. Who knows? Keep your body in shape. That's all I'm saying. What else? Oh, probably one of the most important things. Have you heard of the ancient martial art of shut your trap, fool?
Yeah, we covered that too.
You don't want anybody knowing that you can cook steaks in your fucking house. So maybe if you have a generator or something, run it during the day, maybe when there's other noise going on. If you have batteries that you need to recharge. If you have gas, cook your shit during the day. Because at night, I don't know if you knew this. If you're cooking shit with natural gas, the steam comes out of wherever the hell what do you call it? The chimney is. And if no one else has natural gas, or they don't have propane or whatever, and now you've telegraphed that, hey, I have power enough to cook shit. And guess what? That makes you a fucking target. Now, in Texas, that probably won't make you that big a target because most other people are going to also have that. I'll tell you what, here in Washington State, on the west side, on the Puget Sound area, most people don't think about that shit. I'm one of the only ones that would. And if you're listening to this and you're in an urban area, chances are that's going to happen to you. So that's one thing to think about. Hide your fucking shit. You don't want unwanted attention. That's what I'm saying. That makes any sense. What else is on this list? Bush, you have anything to add to that?
Not really.
Okay. This is one other thing I don't think. I know Morgan has talked about this, but I do want to emphasize this. We talked about morale. We talked about morale here.
Yep.
So I have some games on hand. Now, what I have written down is games / what the fuck is this? I can't read my own handwriting. Entertainment / cards. By the way, Uno, pretty good fucking game to have around. Ask me how I know. / believe it or not, porn. Porn also a pretty good trading commodity. Believe it or not, people will trade fucking porn. But in any of those scenarios, look, especially if you say me and Buzz, we're just hanging around. We're in Fort Sky Does you here for whatever fucking reason. We got nothing else going on. We could play a game of Texas Hold'em with a pack of 54 pack of cards that are like naked chicks. By the way, ask me how I know. Trust me, I've done it. And we can deal with that. At least that's one way to pass the time. Or you have other games here you could deal with. That's one thing I think gets overlooked a lot. It's morale. And so you have other things to deal with that isn't dealing with whatever shit hits the fan situation or war situation or whatever. Is that nobody ever thinks about that. And I think that's one of the things that's probably one of the most important things to actually have at least on hand. Is that you have a way to pass the time when, I don't know, you're not shooting at somebody, or you're not digging a ditch, or you're not doing whatever the hell else you're doing during wartime. So you got this time and you've already done eating, and you know, what else are you going to do with your time? And you're spending that time with whoever you have to spend your time with. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, usually in a survival situation, you're not going to have a whole lot of time on your hands. And by the time you get done doing the crap that you need to do for the day, you're going to be real tired and you just want to go to sleep.
All right, that's fair.
That's been my experience throughout my life. You're out camping and stuff. I mean, that's, it's tiring, And
no
games and shit, I mean, you can find things to do. Like I said, that stuff really isn't so much that stuff's not. Those are things. They're not necessities. They're nice to have, but they're not necessities.
No, you're right. They're nice to have. They're not necessities. You're right.
Are they important to morale? Not as much as having food and water and shelter, having the basics covered. You don't. If you're missing one of those, then having games and shit to play is not gonna help anything.
No, well, that's not what I'm saying. If you're missing one of the basic things, don't have water, if you don't have food or whatever, I understand that.
That's when you're at a level of thriving and stuff like that. That's when you have like excess time and stuff to spend. Like I said, usually in those kind of situations, man, you don't have that kind of time.
What I'm saying is, no, I understand. You're 100% right about that. I'm saying in more of a protracted effort. You've been at sea, or you've been in Afghanistan or something like that for a long time, or whatever. You've seen this in World War One. Like Christmas time. I think even World War II as well. It's like you've been at war for a protracted long time. this is just kind of a nice thing to have, because you've been out there in the field longer than probably you've even been supposed to be, as far as your contract is supposed to allow. I'm not 100% on how that works.
Well, you have to
As far as it
discern.
goes.
I mean, you have to discern whether or not are you in a survival situation or are you in a wartime situation? Because I mean,
Wartime. That's what I mean. Like your wartime.
that completely changes the dynamics of what you're talking about. Then,
Okay.
Sure. If you're like part of an army inside of a war or something, that's gonna be a hell of a lot different than you trying to find out where your next meal's coming from.
That's totally different. Yeah, if it's that, then you're not worried about games and shit like that. Yeah, you're not worried about that because you're worried about survival. You're worried about, like you said, when your next meal is coming in. No, my thing is, and well, I guess take the military out of it. I guess think about the average. Like people need something else to take their minds off of whatever the hell is the current event, take the coronavirus or whatever. They've been dealing with this shit for the last literally fucking year almost. And that's where I came up with this. It's have something else that would take their minds off of this for at least a moment, at least for the next hour or so. That's where I came up with this. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I applied this to the kind of the military, and I think the military will play games, stuff like this, if they can, if they have the opportunity to, if they're not actively being shot at. I understand that. But at the end of the day, the Marines and the Army and the Air Force and all that stuff, there are still people too. They need to have something else to do other than be part of the military. That's all I'm saying. If that makes sense. Boros, you're muted.
Yeah. I'll say, yeah, I mean, you have diversions and stuff like that. That's fine. But, you have all your other stuff squared away first before you do anything.
Exactly. Well, no, you're 100% right. You get everything else taken care of. I totally understand that. I'm just thinking, look, even the military, especially when you were in it or when they were out or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's times whenever you're gonna have extra time and you should have time left over because you got everything else done. That's military though. In a survival situation where shit hits the fan, I'm telling you, you're not gonna have time for stuff like that unless you get into a position where you have an abundant amount of resources. But that's usually a far thing away when you're first starting out, unless you're just extremely well supplied or something like that. And yeah, maybe you could have extra time and stuff like that to spend.
But right, no, you're right about that.
Most people, even in large groups, there's always going to be something for someone to do.
You're right about that. No, you're 100% right, and that's again. This is when you have okay. You have a house that you have shelter that isn't breaking down because there's a hurricane blowing it down or anything like that. Or, there aren't hordes of people coming after you, like all that shit. No, I get that. No, what I'm saying, that part, look, it's part of the morale thing. We've already dealt with some of the major parts, so it makes life a little bit more bearable. It makes it more okay. There's more to look forward to than just survival. And then that's all that is. That's what I'm saying. That's where that comes in. All the games are, whatever that comes in. That's what I'm putting out there. I think that is very important. And I've seen this in, again, you want to input whatever you want. But people can't be on, they can't be, how do I put it? They can't be on guard 24/7. They can't. They'll fucking break.
Well, yeah, obviously.
They have to have some
You have to
outlet.
you have to have downtime, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And so that's why I included that. Maybe have some games, whatever it is.
I mean,
it doesn't even have to be what I listed. It could be whatever the hell else they want it.
That's all it is. Just get you a deck of cards or something like that. You'll be fine. I mean,
deck of cards. There you go.
You just play
that's in there.
Like
what else do I have? By the way, I'm glad to have you here because, that kind of, what do you call it? That distinction needed to be made. You know what? Sometimes you can't do it. I understand that. And I'm glad you're here to make that. But at the same time, humans can't deal with that shit. Safety Doc has made the point quite a few. You can't fucking do this shit year round. And we're already starting to see what is happening with all this bullshit now. Even though this really isn't wartime or anything. Sure, we're already seeing how people are fucking doing this shit now.
Well, you have to understand, most people are soft brain.
No kidding.
So, I'm serious. I don't mean to be mean or anything, but people are not mentally tough.
No, they're not. They haven't been for a long time now. I think there was a post I saw. What was it? It was from 2003, I think, and they were talking about the same things that might have been happening now. I was like, okay, 15 years later, and look what's fucking happening now. God, I was a kid noticing this shit. Let's lift in this and then we'll close this out. Cover games and porn and all this shit and everything else. Clothes, boots, camping equipment. We already talked about that. Actually,
very important thing is to have boots. Good
boots,
shoes, good footwear. Preferably,
yes.
Preferably waterproof. Preferably have more than one or two pairs in case you need, and also plenty of socks.
Yes.
Last thing you want to get is any kind of athlete's foot or trench foot or anything like that.
Yes, exactly.
Because that will screw your world up.
Bull Rush, I'm glad you're here for that because, I mean, I don't know if I would have covered that as well as you did just now, but I'm glad you're here to cover that just as well as you did now because that is so fucking underrated. Nobody thinks about that. That's why I put it on the list. Literally, I have boots written out here. I have clothes written out here, but I have boots written there because of that. Boots and specifically socks.
Yeah, lots of pairs of socks. Like I said.
Specifically wool socks.
Yeah.
Or decent synthetics, I guess. I think they're decent ones out there.
I would say decent cotton socks because they wick better than wool socks. Wool doesn't.
Wool socks.
Well,
or cotton socks. Sorry.
Yeah, cotton socks are better. Wool does not wick away sweat very well from your feet, and they smell like ass. But yeah, I would have cotton socks. Your regular.
Now there's differences, and you can tell me because again, you've been in the field. I've sort of been in the field, but Not in the way that you've been, but basically, you want one for each season. Now, for summer, you want cotton because
it really depends, because it depends on what climate you're at, and it's all contextual and stuff like that. Like here, where I live, I mean, regular cotton socks year round is fine. If you live in a northern area where it gets really cold and stuff, like down sub-zero or below freezing or even sub-zero, you're gonna want heavier socks to wear. Like I said, it all depends on where you live.
you want wool in those areas. Like if you're like South Dakota or you're in Canada or
yeah,
all those places, Maine, all those places, you want wool because they don't
well, you're just
retain all the water, all that stuff.
You're gonna want a heavy sock, because there's cotton socks out there that are made for, that are rated for very low temperatures. They don't have to be
really. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can get them. But yeah, it just depends. You're gonna have to have some type of heavy sock, so your piggies don't get frozen off.
You don't want that.
Yeah, you don't want that. You want to keep all the piggies. The same thing too. Like for gloves, if you need to wear gloves.
Yeah, same.
Don't want your fingers freezing off either. But that's all. That stuff's contextual. It depends on where you're at, and that's just common sense stuff that you need out of bed. But out of all of it, you have to have good pair of waterproof boots. Don't have to be steel-toed or anything like that. Just a good waterproof boot, preferably more than one pair.
I would recommend steel-toe, but Bull Rush is not wrong.
I would not recommend steel-toe if you live in a really cold, or a place that can get really cold, because that steel-toe boot, because steel is actually it transmits.
It'll pick up the
cold,
or not conduct the heat, but
it conducts cold. Yeah, it'll suck.
Right.
But you can get polymer reinforced boots instead of the steel toe.
You can actually, yeah. That's something I actually discovered from, what was it, Skechers? That's where I usually get my boots from.
I got a pair of
They have those.
I got a pair of motorcycle boots they're a reinforced toe, but they're not steel toes. They got a polymer in them.
Yeah, they're I can't remember what the material is, but yeah, it's good enough.
It's a plastic. Yeah. So just leave it at that. It's a polycarbonate plastic, really tough plastic.
It'll leave a nice enough dent against somebody's head if you want to kick someone with it.
Yeah, the aliens, the stuff the aliens gave us, part of their technology.
Exactly.
Along with Velcro.
No, but yeah. It's that, yeah, that shit. Alright, I think that's alright. Camping equipment. Yeah, okay. That's what I had written down. Most of the prepping shit is camping equipment, so I'm not worried about that. Last thing I had written down is comms, and that's about it. And you can go to Joe Doley over at tactical-wisdom.com. He talks about that a lot. Two-way radios, CB radios, all that stuff, if you need to. And again, best comms you can have is the face-to-face conversation you have with the people who you kind of live with. Now, I don't know about you, Bull Rush. I'm going to guess you have your own place, but I don't. I live in kind of apartment complex, but the people I live with, we all look out for each other. And a lot of people there who are on this block, we all look out for each other. We had our own incident where there was a problem person who literally came outside and started shooting out in the fucking air for whatever reason. And people outside the block came out. Basically, they fucking did a citizen's arrest against this guy. So I'm glad I live in this area now, because if shit goes down, I know that it isn't just going to be me that's going to be dealing with this shit. Everyone else is going to be dealing with it as well. But as far as comms goes, knowing what's going on within your immediate area, within your intermediate area, and what's going on, if you can, outside of that, that's going to be kind of important. Intel matters, is what I'm saying. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna. I think it's a given to say that it's important to know what's going on in your immediate area, and some intel is better than no intel, I guess.
Definitely. I mean, I'll tell you what. I don't know if I talked about that here, but I'll tell you this. I live under the arrival line of Joint Base Lewis McChord. That's the major base that's here in Washington State. And I had to talk to a few of the people who were here just to confirm this, because I've only been here within the last 7 or 8 months or so. Now, there's been times where you got quite a few like military planes flying in, like cargo planes, C-17s, and all that stuff. But I've seen some real fucking unusual activity. Not just C-17s, and that's not unusual. But the C-130s, excuse me, and other planes that have come in from vectors that I'm not used to seeing. They've been flying into here. It has been the weirdest fucking thing I've ever seen. And I talked to some of the neighbors here and like, I haven't seen this shit either. And all of us are going like, what the fuck is going to go on here for the next couple of days? It's like,
well, that could be anything. I mean, it's like your neighbors. That's the other thing too. It's like your neighbors are. It's like they say they've never seen it before, but then you got to ask, like, how often do they pay attention to stuff like that?
They pay attention to this shit. That's the thing.
Are they out there every day, like tracking this shit, or what? I mean, it could be just a simple of an explanation is, they rerouted because of weather.
Yeah, that's a good point. That could be it. But the reason I bring it up, no, they pay attention to this shit. That's why I bring it up. They always pay attention to this shit.
Yeah, that's also that's another thing too. You got to worry about, because people can be paranoid as hell too. I'm not invalidating what they're saying, but that's always something you got to keep in the back of your mind too, and to think about that people can be paranoid. Yeah, you're probably gonna deal with stuff like that more than anything else is paranoia. With when inside of like a shit hits the fan kind of situation, is people being paranoid and shit, and mass hysteria. If you're dealing with a group of people,
you're right. Now, and in fairness, I was expecting to drive into God knows what the hell is going to happen in Seattle, and nothing will happen out there. There was nothing out of place. I didn't even see a fucking protest out there this time. Usually they have one every Friday. But there wasn't one this week, at least as far as I saw. There could have been one. I may have missed it. Who knows? But that's what I was expecting to drive today. That didn't happen this time. But
they're probably busy eating their chicken tendies.
Oh, ask Red Sings the Blues how he knows. I think I had a guy who was like, what was it? He wasn't sure this kid was his kid because he didn't like chicken nuggets or some shit like that.
Yeah,
I shit that. You not.
Yeah, I saw that. I was watching. I'm like, That's why I made that comment. I'm like, hopefully y'all don't think this is real, do you? This is not
Right?
real. People, and this has been like this has been found out like a long time ago, like more than 20 years ago, or probably about 20 years or so. Like all these like Jerry Springer and Maury Povich stuff. That's all outrage porn kind of stuff.
Yeah,
It's
and
all
that's
fun
what
and fun,
I
and those
brought
people,
that up. I
those,
brought that up earlier.
those
I
people
showed
get
up on the
paid.
show.
Those people get
Sorry.
paid. Yeah, those people get paid to act like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you brought that up. A couple other people brought that up, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, this looks like fucking acting, man.
It is acting.
And that's why I asked him, I was like, dude, do you think this guy's playing this shit up for whatever fucking reason? Like, are you for real? Who fucking starts a war and gets on a Mari show over chicken nuggets? Like, are you fucking for real?
Nah, it's all it's all a show. It's just a play.
Well, the reason I look, Red was right. Believe it or not, people actually do fucking do that. But he's been in the entertainment. He's still in the entertainment industry. He does all that shit, so he gets to see it. Full screen all shit. And I've actually worked in it for a brief amount of time, so I've got to see it. And some of the shit that you could see there's like I wouldn't want to believe it, but I've seen it. It's like, are you fucking for real? It's that when we follow each other on Twitter, it's that meme of, was it Jonah Jameson? He's like laughing, and then he looks at Peter Parker, and he's laughing even harder, and he looks at him again. He's like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah,
it's like, it's that. Like, are you for real? So it's hard to tell. That's why I asked. Like, that looks like acting, but this could be real. He could really be fucking. He's really crying over this chick and then over chicken nuggets.
Dude, he was not crying, dude. He not like really. He wasn't really crying. He was just acting.
All right.
That dude was not. That's not a real cry.
I hope so. Hopefully he got the money he was paid to go do the acting job and everything else he was doing. Hopefully he got that. You know what?
He got
that's
paid,
what I hope for.
He got paid to act like an ass, basically. So good on him.
Yeah, good on him.
But that stuff's been debunked for years and years and years now. All the way back to Jerry Springer.
Well, Jerry Springer's a whole different fucking thing entirely. We know that shit's fucking.
Yeah, it's all fake. So is Maury Povich. All that stuff it's all fake. It's all outrage material, man. It's
all what do you call it? Shit you watch in the morning if you don't have a job, or if you're like me, you worked in the morning at the Tiger Bar, and that's what's on TV. It's morning TV. That's what it is.
Yep.
It's on TV. Therefore, again, like I said, I mean, if it's on TV,
it must be real.
There's some sort of unreality going on there. Even if shit that's going on there is real, there are people filming this shit. Like, come on. Even something like Naked and Afraid, they're not. Maybe they are huddled up in their own, scavenge shelter or whatever. But they're not in any danger. Because the TV crew isn't in any danger. They have to be out there to film that anyways.
Yeah,
it's on. Exactly.
It's scripted or semi-scripted, I mean, They used to, I think they used to call it reality TV. It's not reality TV. It's just
If it's on TV, it's scripted at some point. Even I know somebody who actually, I can't remember what it was. It was like a dating show or something. Aaron Cobb, I believe his name was, and they had a conversation with this guy, and he was talking about whether he wanted to have kids or not, and he didn't want to have kids, at least at the time. And they edited to the point that it said that basically he hated kids and he never wanted to have all that shit. They edited that shit. What you're seeing on TV is what they want to show you. Is my point. It's like what he had to say is not what he said on TV at all.
Yeah, that's been going on for years, man. That's nothing new.
No, you're right. And well, that's supposed to be going on this entire damn time.
It's called editing.
Exactly.
That's like it's like those interviews and stuff you see on the news where they do the long form interviews with with actors and stuff like that. Like the Barbara Walters interviews. All those, like they probably, so like the interview probably on TV, you see probably like 45 minutes of the interview. The actual interview probably takes about 2 or 3 hours, But they take all that content and cut it down to like 45 minutes with editing and stuff like that.
Right, and to be fair, they kind of have to do that for,
for time reasons, yeah.
But time reasons, yeah. But they also cut a lot of the context out as far as what they're saying.
No shit. Yeah, they get in trouble for that sometimes too. They've been busted for that.
Thank God they at least get busted for it. As far as the prepping thing, do you think we missed anything?
Not that I know of. I mean, you can get so overwhelmed with this stuff. It's just, I would tell someone just to stick to the basics.
Well, no, you're 100% right, but I wanted to at least cover every basic I could.
Yeah,
I want to at least do that, and at least have a post that I could point to.
That would be that's another thing I would also add too is learn like CPR and stuff like that.
100%. Yeah.
If you don't know how to do already, go and take a CPR class. A lot of times if you live near like a volunteer fire station, fire department or something like that, sometimes they offer free or a very small charge to get you certified in CPR.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
I had to pay for mine, damn it. Actually, that was part of, I think that was part of, what was it? It was either my brown belt or black belt. I can't remember which one. That was part of my requirements, actually. I had to learn CPR.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. I could have got that for free.
Maybe. I don't know. It just depends.
Son of a bitch. Oh, this was back in the aughts or something, so this is a while ago.
Yeah, that would be a good thing to learn.
Definitely. And again, just give Joe Dolio a fucking pump. Like, okay, shots start getting fired and somebody gets hit. What's the first thing somebody calls out for? Medic! They want somebody to come dress the fucking wound. Depending on which kind it is. Whether it's a tourniquet, whether it's, it's including chest wound.
Well, that's going to fall under like your advanced like combat first aid and stuff like that. That's totally different, but there are civilian classes for stuff like that.
All right. Sure, but my point is you're going to need more medic assistance than you are going to need a pallet of fucking 556 ammo that everybody ever fucking fixates on, because
definitely.
By the way, Now you're an example of somebody who can actually do that. I guess sort of is an example. I may be able to get up a small hill or something. But if anybody needs to get up a fucking mountain with a goddamn pallet of fucking 556 ammo that your parents are gonna need, you may be able to do that. Maybe we get half of the way that. Most of these fucking retards are always talking about getting goddamn, AR ammo or 9mm or whatever contested pistol they want, was Zig Sauer or it's Ruger or it's Glock or it's Beretta or whatever the fuck it is. Like, nobody fucking talks about that shit. And that's why I wanted to do this. Like, okay, can you dress a wound? Do you have food and water? Can you purify the fucking water? Can you, preserve the damn food? Do you have any other fucking assets you can trade aside from the damn pallets of ammo you have? Maybe do you have any silver? Do you have any goddamn other bullets? Do you have any silver? Do you have any coffee? Do you have any booze?
Yeah, because
how about some popcorn?
I always go back to having legitimate skill sets and stuff will carry you through a lot more. In fact, depending on your level of skills, it can make you very valuable to a group.
And I'd say, you're 100% right. Like, I think if you were to pick anything out of this list, skills be the number one thing. Look, everything else you could have confiscated away from you, or you could lose it in a boating accident. Who knows? But your skills, what's in your head, what you can actually fucking do with your mind, your body. And by the way, again, goes back to your body. You have to be able to do that shit. And therefore, you have to be physically able to do that shit. But skills.
Or you have to be able.
If you have that knowledge, you have that know-how. Okay. Depending on how much petroleum we have around, people are going to want to drive places. Can you repair their damn cars? Can you replace their spark plugs? Can you change your oil? Can you do a fucking head gasket change?
Yeah, any kind of technical skill set is going to be highly valued, be it an engineer, any kind of engineering, a doctor, stuff like that.
And that's good, but you don't even have to go that far.
No, I mean,
let me tell you, you know what I do for a living, right?
I don't know. Aren't you like a mail hooker or something?
Not yet.
I don't mean home.
No, I'm a delivery driver. I drive for a living.
Oh yeah.
I drive for one of the 1099 jobs here, and it's a very low bar to entry. By the way, that's how all these fucking commies coming from LA up here. I have the picture I need to post on Twitter for that. But that's one of the reasons they're able to actually come up here and make money, because you can come here and switch regions or whatever, and you could start working immediately up here, and you don't need to have a job lined up and all other shit. I shit you not, I've run into more than one of them. I know what the people look like when they're doing the same job that I am doing. One, because they're not doing it as well as I am, but two, I know what tools to look for. Especially when they're carrying bags from fucking restaurants into their damn cars. That's kind of a big fucking tell. But I've been in this industry for about 6-7 fucking years. I'm actually one of the top ones in this industry, and one of the top fucking markets, by the way. And I've showed you guys before, like, what was it? I closed one of the company that I started with down, like, literally number one. So I know what this looks like. But I've been in this industry for quite a while. I forgot where I was going with this. What were we talking about?
You're saying you were special because delivery drivers?
I guess. Whatever. I make a pretty decent amount doing that. There was a point that I was getting to, and I just completely fucking lost it. Shit.
Oof.
Hey, these things happen.
Only to
I'm
you,
drunk.
buddy. Only to
I'm
you.
drunk. Leave me alone.
It's like, don't judge me.
Right. There was a point I wanted to make with that. Jesus Christ, now I'm pissed off. What was it? Oh, God. All right, what were we talking about before? Help me get back on track here.
I don't remember either.
All right, we're fucked.
Let's get a different subject.
This is what happens when we get into the wee hours. And again, it's the closing hour. This is what happens. We start talking about some important shit, and then I get into the fucking side tangent, and Jesus Christ, we're off into the fucking weeds and no recovery. There we go.
Can't help it.
Happens, man. Hey, at least shit is still working.
Do what?
At least she's still working. Still broadcasting.
It's a miracle.
Right? Nothing's gone. It hasn't got dark in here yet. Thank God. I got through my whole fucking list, actually. Dude, I'm not kidding. Whole fucking list.
There you go.
We got through it. Hopefully that's helpful to whoever the fuck is listening to this. All 36 of you. I thought it was 37. I was celebrating my 37th listener, and I look into the list and it's like, okay, it's only 36 now. I'm like, all right. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, real quick, actually, now that I think about it.
No.
You're back in touch with Rogue Preparedness, right?
Yeah.
She's looking for guests to go back on her show. Now, I don't know what you can add to her show. But she's looking for specific angles, I guess, that other people can bring. Now, she asked me about, what was it, fitness and nutrition, basically from my standpoint of view. But I'm sure there's some angle that you could bring to her show, so
I doubt it.
I don't know. I'm sure there's something you could bring up there. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, neither do I.
Maybe worth it. Reach out to her. She's trying to ramp up things there, and I'll show up there to talk about whatever the fuck it is that I'm going to talk about. But I'm sure there's something you can contribute as well. You know, you have quite a wealth of information. Whether that's in AR rounds or razors or other survival shit or things that you've gone through. I know you have quite a bit there. So there's something that you can offer there. I know it.
I just don't want to. I don't want people knowing all my tricks.
All right, fair. Okay. Fair enough.
They might use them against me. I don't know. Now my stuff's more just general kind of stuff, man. There's so much I've forgotten though too. That's the other thing. It's all those when you're talking about skill sets and stuff that are useful.
Right.
You have to maintain them because a lot of those skills are perishable skills. So if you don't use them, you'll lose them.
Or if you don't incorporate them into your daily life, like
Yeah.
a lot of the fighting skills that I have, like believe it or not, I have managed to incorporate them to just a lot of data movements that I have. And so I've managed to preserve them in that way. I know it's not, what do you call it? Not mainstream, I guess. It's not something that people think about, basically. But I managed to do it. And so I still preserve them. And I've been in situations where I've had to get into fights and like, it's like I was back in 2010 or 29 or something like that. It's like I'm right back there.
Well, it's not even like fighting. Well, fighting skills is a good example, but
that's just one example. It's just one example.
Like processing.
That's a pretty big example, but
like
just one
game and stuff like that.
Well, that's something. Well, okay, you're right. That's something entirely different.
Yeah. All that stuff.
That's something I've never done, to be honest with you.
Well, it's not hard to do, but in order to learn it, you do have to go out and do it. Like there are YouTube videos that explain how to do it, but you're not going to know until you actually go out and do it. That's when you learn.
Not most things. Quick question, because I've been, I fished, obviously. Fished in Gull Lake, that's the place it's the other lake that's in June Lake area. And basically, what you have to gut the fish before you cook it, rather.
That would be preferable, unless you like eating fish guts.
Right, but based on what I know about the anatomy, is that pretty much kind of the same thing?
What?
But maybe a little bit more involved. If like you're gutting, you shoot a deer or something, you still kind of have to gut, but all the guts kind of in the center. You just clear those out, basically.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing about deer and stuff like that, you have to gut it and you have to skin it out.
But you gotta skin it too.
Yeah, and the thing is, there's a certain way you have to be careful skinning deer and animals and four-legged animals and stuff like that, to where you don't want to hit like the urinary bladder and stuff like that, because if you hit the urinary bladder and you open that up, it's going to get all in the meat. It's going to taint it.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. Like I said,
that I don't know.
Yeah, that's just stuff that you have to look out for when you're doing stuff like that. The only way you're going to learn is just going out there and doing it. Once you do it a few times, it's you get the hang of it. It's not a terribly difficult skill to have, but it's a skill that a lot of people don't have. Especially if you're going to have to go after and harvest wild game and stuff to eat. You have to learn. You have to learn to process all that stuff by yourself. You have to learn to cut it up and everything, how to store it, how to preserve.
Right, you're good. And just speaking from a nutrition standpoint, you're gonna want a lot of those organs anyways. You're gonna want them intact, like your liver, your kidneys, and all that other shit. Okay, maybe not the bladder, obviously, because the reasons you don't want the bladder, but that's where
I stay away from on wild game. I don't necessarily eat the organs or anything like that. It's not my thing. Some people might do that stuff.
No, I'm just saying from a nutrition standpoint. Keep in mind, like the ancient tribes and all this stuff, like, and you can even see this with the animals actually actively hunt prey animals. They'll go after the organs first before they go after the muscle meats. Not saying anything is wrong with the muscle meats, but that's where the most of nutrition is.
And it's also easier to digest.
That too. But that's, you look at ancient tribes, like they prize those fucking meats. They did. I'm just saying. So you wouldn't want to destroy those meats. I don't know if you're shooting at the animal or something. You wouldn't want to put a 223 or 308 through that. You want it properly placed. And then you want to dress it properly and then preserve it and all this other stuff. I'm talking through theory here because I've never done it. But I'm just saying. You working on a raise or something there? What's going on?
Yeah.
All right.
Working on some stuff here. Just getting all the stuff sorted out. So.
Nice.
But yeah, that's gonna. I'm gonna have to cut these this carbon fiber here in a little while. I gotta wait a couple hours because it's like 4:30 here. I don't want to wake anybody up.
Oh, that's right. You got live-ins.
Well, no, just outside. I'm gonna cut it outside on a. I'm not gonna cut it inside the house. Shit. That's too much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's too much dust, and I have to get a mask. Put a mask and shit on too. Because I don't want to be breathing.
You mean it's an actual mask, not a fucking face diaper that everybody's been telling us to wear for the last year or so.
I need to get a face diaper, yeah, because you don't want to breathe in the carbon fiber. It's kind of like fiberglass.
Yeah.
You don't want to breathe.
No, you're right. Well, that shit you don't want to breathe in.
Yeah, it'll fuck you up.
And it'll fuck you up for a while too. That should stay in your system if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's no good. I mean, if I didn't wear a mask with it now, like just doing it one-time thing, it probably wouldn't do any damage. But fuck,
I wouldn't take any risk anyways.
Yeah. Better safe than sorry.
Exactly. Why not take the protection when you can? Let me do one quick look over this. I think we got everything.
Yeah. Good job, Bob. Don't be a slob.
I got to do something right every once in a while. Jesus Christ. All right. Anything else you wanted to add in there?
No. Just I gotta keep hitting on getting the good boots, man. Things will save your life.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one thing that is very underrated. Get good boots, get good socks. I mean, this literally
dry boots.
If you're going to be walking somewhere, that's the foundation of what you're going to be walking on. So make sure that's the best thing you can get.
And skills are better than gear.
Skills are better than gear. Another one, definitely. Everybody talks about gear. And I said it before. They talk about the pews and all that shit. And I'm not saying they're wrong, but you know what? Can you fix my fucking timing belt? Can you come do my plumbing?
Can you reset a bone?
Can you reset exactly? Can you reset a bone? Can you do a decent tourniquet if I get my fucking arm shot off or some shit like that? Skills are gonna matter. I think that's gonna be the biggest deciding factor in any shit the fan rule without law situation. than anything else that you have, because people are going to supply you with the skills, or they're going to supply you with the supplies you need to enact the skills that you have.
Yeah, I would just the other thing I would say is have good leadership skills too.
That too. That will require you to have leadership. You have to be in leadership first, but fuck. I don't know if I want to ever do that again. To be honest with you, it's like, nah. Yeah, motherfucker. I've led enough. Y'all motherfuckers lead. I kind of want to just sit in the background. I'll be a vice commander or something.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want that much responsibility, dude. I'll be dead honest with you.
There's nothing wrong with that, man.
I can do it if need be, but y'all do that shit. If shit gets really bad where I have to fucking leave, well, okay, well, shit's already that bad. Well,
mistakes have been made.
Now I have to take over.
Mistakes have been made.
Mistakes have been made, and now me of all people are taking over. And that also means shit is also going to get much worse before it gets better. Because I don't want to do it. But okay, whatever. No, but you're right. Yeah, at least have the skills to lead too, if need be. You're right about that. Okay. But no, there's a lot more that goes into prepping than just your pews. Have everything else in order. Look, you know what? I guess it gets somewhat with this. The shit that you need to keep your house in order. Whatever configuration you have. Now, I live in Fort Sky Dungeon. You can see here, that's about it. Not much goes into it. And they have the effective landlord that lives downstairs from me, and he could take care of everything else. That's as far as the plumbing, as far as the electricity, as far as the roof fucking falling in. That happened a couple weeks ago. Everything else. And that's it. And so I got that all taken care of. Now, you may have your own place. You may have to take care of your own plumbing, your own electricity, your own water, whatever.
Yeah, I do.
Your own roofing, your own flooring, all that stuff. Make sure whatever you have there, you can take care of as best you can. And that's the best I can tell you as far as you take care of all of that first. Until you have that taken care of. Then you can take care of everything else. Whether it's, I don't know, the government coming to take your fucking guns because they registered everything. I don't know. Have you heard about that rumor? That's apparently in the fucking books.
Yeah, they're always talking about stuff like that.
They always are. Who knows what's going to happen? But make sure you have shit that's in your fucking control under control.
Yeah, that's why.
And then worry about everything else.
People worry too much about shit that they can't control.
And that's what, look, I get a lot of shit here, and that's fine. But look, my focus is worry about the shit that's in your control. If it's outside of control, and if you even care about it, find a way to make it enjoyable. Laughter at a humanity show. That was what the entire fucking program was about. It's like, just fucking have fun with it. I ran all kinds of fucking news stories and all this shit. I don't control these stories, but I can sure fucking find the humor in it. And that's all you can do. So do that. If you're going to worry about the news, at least make it enjoyable. But back to this, get your shit in order. That way you can actually take the time to look at the news and make it enjoyable for you.
I still don't look at it. There's better shit to do, honestly.
Exactly. And you're right. My folks actually they used to look at the news all the time, and last time I talked to them was like they were like, I haven't looked at the news in a couple of weeks and they've never been happier.
Bro, I have not had cable or anything like that since like 2011 or 2012. I don't watch the news. Like I barely use my TV for anything. I watch some movies every once in a while, but I don't even watch local news or anything.
Nice.
I haven't. It's just I don't care about it.
I don't blame you. You know what? I haven't been able to get Wi-Fi here actually because of the way this place is constructed, but I actually, and I'm not going to cancel forever. It's not because of the cuties thing, but actually cancel for now my Netflix my Netflix, whatever we call it, Netflix.
I haven't watched Netflix in years, man. They I don't think I've watched Netflix, had a Netflix account since probably like 2015 or so. They started like the stuff that they had. It's like nothing I wanted to watch, so I was just like, why pay for it?
Well, it was shit that the other chicks wanted to watch, and that's what I will put on.
A bunch of girl movies and shit. I'm like, I don't want to watch this shit, dude. Bunch of sci-fi.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I would have it on. They would like to watch it. They will suggest whatever they wanted to watch, and it will be on there. And by the time that's ending, they're bobbing up and down and all that stuff. And every once in a while, I'd find something that I want to watch on there. But that's a rarity. But I haven't had anybody over here. And so, therefore, there's no need for me to have it. So, what I looked at is you can cancel it and they still keep your records on file within about 10 months or so.
Yeah.
So I just cancel it and
well, if I want to watch something in particular, I just go to Redbox or I look at Amazon Prime or something like that. Their movies.
So, Amazon Prime, I do have that.
Yeah.
Sometimes for other reasons, but
sometimes they got some decent stuff. But I don't watch a lot of TV for the most part.
Yeah, same here. I can't remember the last time I watched TV. I only watch TV when I'm at the folks' place or I'm at a customer's place to kind of see what they're watching kind of in passing, or I'm at a vendor who has it on. I just don't watch it at all. The only reason I would have it is because, somebody would want to request it. That's the only reason I had Netflix. Now Prime is a different story because I use it for other things, but you can cancel for about 10 months or so and they'll keep your info. And so you can renew your membership in 10 months, I guess, and then recancel it. And I'll save you $100 a fucking year. And so you can still keep it. Now, who knows? Maybe I'll have a fucking new person that wants to come over every once in a while and we watch movies. Who knows? Maybe I want to watch movies again. Who knows? But at least keeps that option open. I'm just not paying for the time I'm not watching anymore. Just saying. But no, you're right. You know what? I don't have time to watch the shit. You know, me and you actually, both of us, me more so than you, we'll shit posts on Twitter. Maybe we'll fuck around on Instagram. We're talking to other people. And by the way, when you talk about that should be even shit posting, we're actually interacting with other people rather than just watching something and not doing anything else. We're fucking around on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. And we're actually making more genuine connections with other people who we might not have we may not have otherwise have connected with. And therefore, that is a better use of our time. Literally on Twitter, literally on Instagram, than it would have been on Netflix or Amazon Prime. Hell, look at what we're doing right now. Me and you talking not exactly face to face, but voice to voice, I suppose. Right now. Could you get that on Netflix? Could you get that on Amazon Prime? No, you can't. You can't get Bull Rush on Amazon Prime. You can't get the goddamn bacon on Netflix. But we have it. If that makes any sense. But we're here doing it right now. And there are people who may be listening to this now. Listening to this on the replay. Listening to this live. Who knows? That are getting the entertainment value of this, the educational value of this. How do you replace the value of this? You can't do that with Netflix. You can't. I invite you to try to tell me how you can do it. Unless you want to record this entire fucking conversation and put it on Netflix somehow. And if you do that, I kind of want to see how you fucking do it.
I gotta go. My gym's about to open. I need to grace it with my.
All right. You grace your gym with your presence?
Yep.
I'm going to go eat. I'm hungry. Thanks for stopping by, Bull Rush. I'm out. Until next time. Take care. Stay ready. Keep it tactical, and above all else,
wash your penis.
Wash your penis. And be chaos, my friends.